Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Ottawa, Ontario, Canada, our nation's capital. Not yours, maybe, but here in Canada, this is where it all happens, government-wise, anyway. And what else is happening here is the Capital City Bloodbath 2019, a long-running, fantastic tournament run here by our friends at CanHammer. We have completed the first round. We're coming into round 2 now. We got a great game on the table here, but I'm going to catch you up first on some of the first round action that I didn't get to summarize at the conclusion of last round. So in the cash money hammer square off between Tori Pete and Alex Stewart, we're just going to close this out. The old man Stu got beat down by Tori. At the top of the rankings, which, by the way, if you want to follow those, you can go to bestcoastpairings.com. And you can actually look up CCBB, and that'll provide you with at least the pairings and the rankings. If you want to actually have a look at the lists and follow around with that kind of stuff, you'll have to actually download on your phone, iOS or Android, the BCP Player app. Of course, the Falcon with 40kstats.com is providing all the lists for the stream on his site as well. So at the top of the standings, Zach Como jumped out with a big first-round number. He had 41 points out of a possible 42. He's usually running a really cool-looking Tau list, but today he's running an Eldari list that's actually pretty heavily weighted Harlequins. Randomly enough, he's paired up against the second highest number, which is also Eldari, with a big Harlequin focus. We'll be following that in this round. As mentioned, Jim Vessel, ITC number 1, rolled with 34 points. Right in and now in the second round. Kieran Gibb, former Canadian ETC player, and always has a beautiful army. Either of these guys would be great on stream. That's going to be one we'll be keeping an eye on. The Archon, Scary from Scarredcast, is here. I didn't mention him at first, but he's out there. He took a big win in round 1 and is now taking on Adam Purdy's Purdy Admech. Stephen Pamperine, of course, rolled. Now he's paired into some Tau. It's going to be tougher sledding for him. I'm really keen to see if he's able to cope. And over with the former famous Canadian Dan Platt, he took advantage of legalization and smoked his first-round opponent, 37-1. He's got another night-heavy opponent, so he's probably licking his chops to keep this going. I'm going to do my best to keep an eye on the chat. If you got any requests for interviews, you want to know what's going on in a certain matchup, maybe one of your pals is here, maybe someone you stalk on the internet is here, and you'd love for me to just creepily stand behind them for a few minutes for you. Just hit up in the chat, comment, at me, whatever you got to do, and we'll try and get some content for you. I'm now joined, of course, by Darren from CanHammer. Left foot on the X there, pal.
There you go.
All right, so I've heard there's some stream complaints about the relative height. Darren's doing a little bit better on this one, so way to be a bit taller than my other guests. I appreciate that. Now, Darren, what brings you to Capital City Bloodbath?
I'm help organize, and I'm running it, and I'm one of the judges. Yeah.
Oh, very good, very good. So what are you most excited for today? Now that everything's finally rolling, you know, you've got everything set up, all that stress is down. What do you want to see out there as far as the players are concerned?
I think we have a good reputation of being a really friendly tournament to play at. And I just hope everybody really just enjoys their 6 games. And I personally am super excited about the stream. We've invested a lot to bring Rob and everyone over to provide the best coverage we can. And I think by the looks of it, it's going amazing. And so I'm super excited about that as well.
And actually, that's a very good point. We're right now competing against 2 other streams out there, folks. So if you're watching us, there's some people who aren't, I don't know. Maybe throw a little shade out there for us. Yeah. Rate a few chats. Let's get some more viewers here, because I'm telling you, this is the best stream to be watching this weekend. It's going to be fantastic from start to finish. Any other thoughts before we kick it over?
No, I just want everybody to check us out, and we'll be here next year again. So if you couldn't make it this year, come on back next year.
Why don't you plug your stuff?
So I also do most of the media for CanHammer. We got YouTube. We have Twitch live streams every week. We run a podcast, so check us out. Facebook, Twitch, YouTube /CanHammer.
Right on. Thanks a lot, Darren. Right. Thanks a lot, Darren. Okay, guys, so that wraps up the kickoff here for round 2 at Capital City Bloodbath. We are currently waking up the Falcon and the Rob from their slumber. They are ready and primed to talk you through this game. Over to you guys.
Hello, welcome to the show. Welcome to the booth.
Look, welcome to us. Now, I don't think Val knows this, but Falcons only do sleep 2 hours a day.
They hunt all the time.
They are constantly hunting, just like I am, but only for numbers. We've got
ferociously bloodthirsty too.
Also me. We've got quite the game lined up for you guys. We've got two spectacular players with two beautifully painted armies that we're going to be showing off. We've got Owen Clayton running a Nurgle army with Death Guard and Chaos Demons.
He also looks svelte, well-formed,
he
and ready to rock.
This guy works out. He's definitely been to a gym at least once. And he's playing, at least once. And he's playing against Jeff Panderoda.
He also looks good.
He also does look good. Jeff. I don't know if it's because he just doesn't eat or because he's 9 feet tall.
Yeah, does he run like everywhere?
I believe he is definitely a marathoner.
0% body fat.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll get
maybe also 0% muscle. Hard to say. Both beautiful gentlemen, though. Yeah.
We'll get some shots of those guys later. Welcome to the show. This is the Falcon.
Yes, and this is the Honest Wargamer. Well, the host of the Honest Wargamer.
Yeah, the host, yes. The
he himself is not honest.
He's in here.
Yeah,
I'm a giant liar. Yeah. Host of the 40kstats.com and obviously a part of 40k, the 40k stat show.
Yes, exactly.
Soon to feature stats, I've heard. But
yeah, someday we will actually add stats to the stats center. We'll see. It's a work in progress.
So thank you for joining us, obviously. Now, we can see you guys on Twitch and take any comments you want. If you watch us on Facebook or YouTube, jump over onto Twitch or just leave some comments there, but we won't reply.
Yeah.
But we will take comments
You're
here.
just screaming into the dark if you're doing it
just like me at night with my nightmares, thinking about Eldar flyers.
Yeah, my night terrors are deadly as well.
Thank you very much for joining us. Obviously, we're going to be covering this game, and Val will be jumping around and bringing you the hot goss from the environment as we go through.
Yes, indeed.
I'm very excited. And like you just said, we've got a big matchup here. Mixed Chaos, which is effectively mainly Death Guard.
Yes, this list is, I believe, about 1,700 points of Death Guard. And then
it's the first boot you've given me today.
Oh, well, thank you. That's what it's what I do. It's what I do. Val is always mad when I manage to hit all of my syllables, so I got to give him something.
Yeah, good. And I want to know what you guys in the chat are about, so please drop us a message and let us know that you're here. John's going to bring us some hot goss and stats soon, so we can see how because this is really good. I want to touch on this for a minute, if you don't mind. What you can do, if you ever want to, is you go to the 40kstats.com. That's the website,
Yeah,
right?
that's my website.
You go on there, and what's really, really great is you can see the win percentage and meta percentages of armies as they play in ITC format tournaments.
All format tournaments, as long as they meet at least a GT level, so 28 players or more, 5 games or more, and they give me access to at least 90% of the lists at the event. So I need to be able to have the lists in order to get you good stats. If the lists aren't there, how am I to say like what you're actually playing? So.
Yeah, and so there's some really good context for building your armies or playing your armies in a competitive environment like we are here. So there's 120-ish players in Canada's largest 40k event, which is really exciting, including some of the best players in the world, as I understand it.
Yes,
100%. So it's a very tough field, which is good. The hobby is excellent, as we saw in the last game already. But what's really cool about your website, and I'm a huge fan of, is you can see how the armies play against each other in a faction versus faction setting.
Yes.
Which is really, really big.
Yeah, and it's huge. It gives you an idea, like if you really love your Dark Angels or Grey Knights or whatever, you can see just how they're performing against like-minded competitive lists. So I believe we're going to have some of those stats here later to see how exactly Gene Stealer Cults and Nurgle are performing against each other.
We'll have that conversation later, but
it's
your website that lets us have that information, so big thank you.
Thank you very much. No, it's a little bit of work, but I love what I do.
Same. We've got a question in the chat there from Vinny. Says, really impressive setup, guys. Is this all from Rob? That is correct. Although you guys did provide a couple of extension leads. That's important.
Well, I did not, but I believe that Darren did. I provide nothing but my beautiful face.
Which works really, really well. The CanHammer guys, by the way, have been fantastic. So you guys have been very, very kind for setting us up. So this matchup, should we talk about some of the bully units?
Yes, let's talk a little bit about the lists themselves and what to expect from these beautiful, gorgeous armies.
So we're just waiting for the table to get us set up. John's sorting the overlays out, so we'll be. Okay, so should we pivot to the stats before we talk about the
John
armies?
has the stats ready. I have no qualms talking about those.
We're going to pivot to those stats in a moment. We'll just go for it. You guys can see some cool information here as you can see the table setting up.
Whoa. That was almost a star wipe. I love it.
I can change it to a star wipe if you prefer. So there you go. So you got Nurgle on the left and Genestealer Cults on the right. So Genestealer Cults is that they're very popular as monolists.
Yes. So as you can see up the top, these the top line is your monolist percentage versus like how they're normally played. So Genestealer Cult's one of the most popular factions to run mono because they've got a really solid codex. There's not too many sleepers in that book. Pretty much everything's a heavy hitter. And so, yeah, it's very rare that you see them ally with anything.
What I like about it as well is it's a bit like, I consider it to be a bit like the Deathwatch Codex, in that like you get very entrenched inside of its own codex, and obviously you can add stuff on, but I think inside of itself it's deeply complicated and variable.
Exactly.
And that just means that you can apply some very solid armies. I don't know if they've got a similar kind of monolist percentage, but they seem very concurrent.
Yes, yeah. And Genestealer Cult players, they love to run the mono, so it's super huge. Nurgle, on the Nurgle side, not as much. It's very rare that you see anybody running pure Death Guard or pure Nurgle demons. They are out there, obviously, 31% of the lists.
People don't like disease. That's weird.
Yeah, right. It's well, they like a little bit, right?
Okay,
they want to mix it with their murder and and
changing the ways
and lust and
sexy demons.
Sexy demons. Yeah, what can I say? I mean, also Renegade Knights are a thing now, so I mean that's something you always want to look at too.
Yeah, absolutely. But like you said, very low there. But you can see there that the primary detachments are normally taken in the secondary detachments.
Yeah, so this is what's actually at the event today.
Okay.
So there are 3 people running primary Nurgle, and then they also have 3 secondary. 4 lists in total are running some kind of Nurgle, and then on the other side, we've got for GSC. There are 5 lists, and 4 of them, I believe, are mono in this. All 5 are mono, I believe, at the event.
Wow,
I don't believe anybody's allying anything. And then you got your overall win percentages there. So that's how they're doing in the meta right now, post spring FAQ, because that completely changed how things are played. So you see GSC's been doing really well, 52.2%. Anything above 50
is great.
You got a really solid army you're playing with.
But if you push towards 60, you're in a broke category.
Yes, exactly. And so right now there aren't too many lists that are in that. Most are falling in that like 47 to 53, which is like
lovely,
beautiful.
So what is in that category above that?
Above that, so Imperial Knights are the top faction right now from a competitive standpoint. Now, not pure, of course. This would be like a multi-faction where you're mostly knights. So 3 or 4 knights with maybe some guard or some admech going with them. That's from a win percentage standpoint. They're the dominant. They're about a 57.
So big fellas need mates, is what we've learned.
You got it. Yeah.
Good. Okay.
And then after that, most of the rest are I think Chaos Demons are at about a 54, 55.
Wow, that's quite good actually.
Yeah, and that's with when you run them like most of an army. By themselves, they're awful. Chaos Demons need friends. But those Thousand Suns buddies, they make a lot of difference.
I mean, Psychers are what bring demons from the warp most of the time.
So having Ahriman around, the Master of Magic really kind of.
Yeah, I mean, he did mess up that one spell, but we don't need to touch on that.
Yeah, I mean, his dad did more wrong than he did, I think. And then lastly here, this is the
we haven't talked. Yeah, Nurgle not quite as solid win
44. I think Death Guard in general. The Chaos Nurgle side, the Demon side, they won. They've got some good stuff. The Death Guard side, I think they need some help.
They do. But I think it's a points issue, realistically.
I do agree.
They've got the tools.
Yes, I mean
in the rules.
What you're going to see here on this table, what Owen has brought, like Plague Burst Crawlers, awesome models. They're still deadly as all get out. Blightlord Terminators, scary things. If they can get to you, they're slow.
It's kind of similar to what we saw with the Mega Knobs, realistically.
Exactly.
Like they are a big bully unit if they can get to where they need to be.
But they have to get there.
Yeah. And they're against an army that can control the board space very well.
Yes.
Very early. Okay, but so looking at the numbers, I'm not going to lie, it looks like it's a tough matchup for Nurgle.
Yes, Genestealer Cults have been having their way with Nurgle. 66.6 win percentage. So I believe that's over 15 matchups that they've had in the last couple months, where specifically like a Death Guard primary list has gone up against a Genestealer Cult list, like we're seeing right now. And Genestealer Cults are laying it out.
All the way.
Yes. Yes.
All the way. Which is interesting, right? Because when we get to talk to them about I'm going to try for a third time. Do you mind?
That's okay.
When we get to talk about the lists, you'll see, and we saw also Death Guard player was saying that it's a lot of stuff, but there's no monsters, there's no vehicles.
Yeah.
You know, it's just a lot of wounds that are kind of like medium-ish toughness, like force 5s, 3s, obviously, and just a lot of bodies on the board.
Yes,
a lot of space.
Ton of bodies. Genestealer Cults really is a board control list, but they have heavy hitters, ultra heavy hitters.
Yeah, they in a bit, and they literally hit.
Yes, they don't take a hit back, by the way. They are all glass jawed, but man, when they hit you,
they hit you all the way. So there we go. I think this has told us that we're already into the first turn.
Yes. So
for Genestealer Cults.
No, for I believe it's Demons, Death Guard. So I believe Death Guard are going first. Oh, it's. So we're at the bottom of turn 1. Genestealer Cults already played. All they did was remove some blips from the board and reposition.
Okay.
They're definitely waiting. As you can see, they've hidden everything back here.
Yes. I mean, that's a safe deployment.
That's we don't want to be hit by any plague burst shenanigans. We're gonna hide here. We're cowards.
We are. Sure. I'm gonna go zoom in on those cowards. Is what I'm gonna go do. I'm gonna go find out what they want. They're not scared, are they? Let's go get them. What are they up to? Look at those guys. They're not scared in any way. Do you think, or are they very scared?
It's Genestealer Cults. They don't want to get hit by anything. I believe those are the Brood Brothers up front. If I'm
yeah,
seeing
John will
properly.
be able to just change the camera so you guys can see what we're seeing as we go through this. Yeah, so Brood Brothers up the front. They're going to be doing it. Have they got any targets really in the Death Guard army?
With everything in blips right now, because just to give you guys a heads up on how blips work. So Genestealer Cults have an ability where they can deploy as blips before the game starts, so you don't know what anything is on the board. And they can also remove those quote-unquote blips for 1 CP and put them into Deep Strike. So what Jeffrey has done is he's essentially Deep Struck 70% of his army with that strategy. So all he has are essentially really crappy guard units back here, but they're guard units that have decided that Genestealer Cults is the way to go.
And so for the Chaos Force at the bottom, we are seeing here that he's starting to move up these units of this unit of Plague Bearers.
Yes.
Do you think these are a screen? Because what the Genestealer Cults are going to be able to do is just Deep Strike. Charging
exactly.
with a really high percentage of getting in.
Yes, so we'll talk a little bit about the Genestealer Cult list, but like the main strategy here is going to be, and Owen knows it because you can see with the way he's screening himself out, is that they're going to pop up and you're going to have some Acolytes and some Aberrants, and they're all going to start, and they're just going to try to overwhelm these Plague Bearers with character support. And Genestealer Cult are a deadly, deadly army. For this reason. So you really need a proper screen like this in order to fend them off and hope that you can get through that first round. Because if you can blunt that first attack, Genestealers are in a bad spot.
They're in the midfield, and then you can just get.
And they have no saves.
Yeah, they are fairly weak. Oh yes, they can take. They're going to get a kick in realistically.
So do you want to go over the list a little bit? Or?
I'd love to.
Okay,
please do. Just going to let John know that the Nurgle player is currently active, so just so he can sort that out. There we go. Good man. Let's talk about it. So, Genestealer Cults. What's in the list and how's it going to work?
Okay, so we'll talk a little bit. I'll go over the list very briefly, and then we'll kind of go over the main talking points, the big hitters, right?
Okay.
So he's got an Abominant. He's got 2 Patriarchs. He's got 60 Brood Brothers, which are just regular Astra Militarum infantry. However, they decided the 4-armed Emperor is better than the one with 2 arms. He's got 30 Aberrants, so this is what we call in the biz a steroid city or a muscle beach list.
A muscle beach. So that's his bully unit effectively.
Yes, and he's got 3, and they're deadly. They hit hard. They are actually the one thing in the book that can take a hit. But that being said, it's not the same as like a Terminator taking a hit. They don't have armor. They've just got a really good feel no pain that they're relying on. And then he's got 15 Acolyte hybrids with rock saws, and those things hit These are your paper. This is your paper mache nuclear bomb.
And they're also so they've got an icon in that's giving reroll ones to hit.
Yes.
And they're also able to get +1 to wound.
Yes. So and they can get +1 to hit. So they can eventually be hitting on 2s, essentially wounding almost anything on 2s.
Even these plague burst crawlers, which are tough as nails.
Yes. They'll just whip them to pieces.
And anyway, if you know any miners, you'll know that they're tough lads.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't think they'd. I've seen the miners in Chernobyl, for instance. They were not scared about going in.
No,
that's what we're going to see here.
Yeah, no, and they're going to wreck some face. He's also got a unit of 15 hybrids with hand flamers. And I mean, 15 D6, strength 3. Strength 3 is not what you really want against Nurgle, but it's still going to kill a blob of dudes.
It is.
So,
it is. It's going to take and they're really. Because what's really interesting is the infantry that he has to take out, for instance, the Plague Bearers, can go quite quickly, and then he does have the tools, so he can sacrifice the Hand Flamers to take out the screens. That's a fair trade, and then he's got the Rock Saws to start going in, and the Aberrants to go in and deal with the vehicles.
Yeah. And these Hand Flamers, the big thing about them against the Plague Bearers is Plague Bearers can get up to -2 to be hit with as long as there's more than 20 in the unit, and he gets off.
But wait, what do Flamers do?
Well, Flamers ignore that penalty, so that's really big. He's going to be still wounding on 5s, but if you get a good enough roll on them D6s, he's going to take a few of them out, and that's really what he really wants to be able to do. I think what you're going to see from Jeff, and you already saw it turn 1, and you may see it even this turn, depending on how he's feeling, is you may see essentially nothing get deep struck until turn 3. He may wait till the very limit to see what he can, see if he can spread these guys out a little more and find a hole. That's kind of what he wants. He needs to make a hole so he can breach it.
Yeah, with the Flamers, do you think? Or
I think he'll start with the Flamers, see what he can pull, and he may pull out one of the units of Aberrants. I don't know if he'll pull all 3. I think that's going to be staggered. He's basically going to just battering ram the doors until he can make some room.
So how impactful do you think, so we've talked about the bully units that we think we're going to find inside GC Colts, and we haven't talked about the charging that can happen yet.
No.
But let's obviously look at the Nurgle Death Guard side. There's some Demon Princes and also these Mephitic Blight Haulers. Do you rate these? Do you think these are good in the game, or is that not what we're going to see the power come from?
I don't think we're going to see much out of the Blight Haulers in this game. I think they do have a place in the list. They do provide cover to everything within 7 inches. So all of these, but for the Plague Bearers, it means absolutely nothing. They're going to use their invuln all the time. It's going to help these guys with a little bit of protection, increasing their armor save to 2+, I believe, on them. So that's going to be nice. With the exception of this Gene Steel Cult isn't shooting anything.
Nope.
No,
nope.
those
like it.
don't throw rocks. They don't, they should. Maybe
some people say it's a shooting game, but Jeff does not want to hear that.
No. Other than his Sanctus, which is a terrifying proposition for this Nurgle list, he's not got a whole lot that's going to be doing much damage.
No, it's not going to be doing much at all.
And Aaron Wilson AOS said it only affects infantry. You may be correct. I don't have the thing in front of me for that, but
yeah, you could be well. I think that's good.
If that's the case, then it's going to be helping his Blightlord Terminators have a 1+ out in the open.
Which is the bully unit, which we are not currently on the board.
Yes, they are still hiding, waiting for.
So why are they so good?
So Blightlord Terminators are.
Because everyone tells me don't take my Terminators out of any boxes and build them and paint them. Just leave them in the shop.
Yes, I think Blightlords, up until the Space Marine Codex comes out today, I think that they are the exception to the rule. Blightlord Terminators, they have a 2-up armor, they have a 4-up invuln, they're disgustingly resilient.
So they got a 5-up damage prevention roll on top.
Yeah. So they're very hard to kill. So they're an excellent backline protector against very aggressive armies like Gene Stealer Cults, where they can sit back and hide and then slam you in the face. In other games where you're playing very aggressive armies, they can have a pretty small footprint if you need them to, and they can deep strike in a backline, and then you're never relieving them. Like you're never going to remove them.
Okay.
They're just so hard to kill. They do excellent damage in close combat. They've all got combi bolters, so they can shoot. It's a very amazing unit. Its real downfall is how slow it is. So if you have movement shenanigans that you can put on them, it really hurts their damage potential.
Okay. Yeah, I think waiting for them to arrive from the sky or the teleportarium or whatever disgusting cyst that they're currently residing within to drop on the field and do the damage. But so what you're effectively seeing is, and you can see here with the Death Guard force, you do have also, lovely hat shot there. Is you've got the 3 Blight Hall
The Plague Burst Crawlers.
Plague Burst Crawlers, in fact, actually. And so they're also going to be doing some damage as well. And you've got a Demon Prince here going to be doing some work potentially too.
Oh, for sure. The good thing about the Demon Prince is he's given him Suppurating Plate, which is a relic where every time he successfully saves a hit in close combat, he has a chance to do mortal wounds back to the person that has been swinging at him. So against the chaff Genestealer Cult models, he's going to do work. Maybe not so much against Roxas because he's not going to get much of a save even with that 2+ that it's providing him.
-4 on the Roxors.
Yes.
Is that right?
4.
-4.
2 damage. -4.
That's crazy.
They hit like a truck. -1 on their regular claws. So the rest of the guys, not like those are the ones he's going to kill if he kills any. It's the ones that are only giving him the -1 to hit, -1 to AP. So we are starting to see some of the Genestealer Cult units get dropped.
There we go. So we're moving into Jeff's turn 2 now.
This is Jeff's turn 2.
So we're into Jeff's turn 2, and we're going to talk about the secondaries as we go. As you can see, just from the overlay, real quickly, we've got Reaper, Headhunter, and Big Game Hunter for Jeff.
For Owen.
For Owen.
Yes.
Is that wrong?
No, that's correct. So Owen is the one that's going to be wanting. We're on Jeff's turn, but. Oh,
so those are his.
Those are Owen's.
Yeah, no, those are Jeff's, or is that wrong?
That's wrong. Owen is the one that's running. Oh, it's at the top. So yeah. So Owen is the one that took Reaper, Headhunter, and Big Game Hunter.
No, that's Jeff's. Yeah, Nurgle's got Engineer, which is cool. Which is fun.
No,
and
it's interesting because Reaper would be something you'd expect the Nurgle player to take.
Explain to me why.
Well, because Jeff has 1 billion models and Owen does not. That's why I'm wondering if that's correct.
Okay, well, we'll double check that. Pretty certain that.
Because I have his Nurgle has Reaper, Headhunter, Engineers.
We'll get that to you, which is fun. So the secondaries are important in ITC because they're potentially worth 4 points. There you go. Each. Yeah. So you potentially are worth 4 points each here. So you can score 12 maximum.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
And this is what Owen took.
Okay.
So Owen did take Reaper, which makes sense. Jeff has a ton of models on the board by the end of the game, so killing 80 of them shouldn't be super duper difficult. Headhunter, Jeff is running a ton of characters. That's a big thing for Genestealer Cult. It's huge. They have some amazing buffs out there. He's got a Clamavis in that list. He's got his Patriarchs, which can just deal out a ton of damage. Sanctus, etc. So he's got a lot of characters. And then the Big Game Hunter. Oh, it's because he took Engineers. That's where there's the mistake there.
Yeah.
And Engineers for Nurgle, he can pop his Plague Bearers onto an objective and just not move them. I mean, he'll give him a turn or 2 of points if that's what he chose, or the Mephitic Blight Haulers if he doesn't think they're going to do anything. I don't know what he chose for his Engineers, guys. Sorry, I can't tell you exactly.
It's the Nurglings.
It's quite probably the Nurglings, actually.
It definitely is, he told us.
And then the Foul Blight Spawn would be the other one, or just the 2 units of Nurglings?
Just the 2 units of Nurglings.
Excellent.
So they're the Engineers.
And so they're going to be hiding out in the back here on that objective.
Yeah, just don't hurt me.
Yeah, don't touch me so that I can get my points.
So we'll be able to talk about the secondaries in more detail in a moment as we see going down. And I think we're seeing go down here. What unit have we seen deployed?
Let's get a little closer so we can take a look at what they hold in their hands.
They have got many sticks.
Many aberrants.
There we go. So we've got at least...
Looks like 2 units of them that he dropped there.
Yeah, 2 units of aberrants. And then behind him, he obviously also has...
I believe that is the Patriarch.
The Patriarch is ready. And I think we've got a Primus hiding behind here as well.
Yeah, I would not be surprised. He does have one in the list. So that's going to help. He's going to get the +1 to charge from being 4-armed Emperor. I believe he has Anointed Throng on one of these squads as well.
So he's going to be... it's interesting. I thought he wouldn't drop these till later, but clearly...
well, remember, he does have 30, so dropping 20 at first, he can keep 10 in reserve. And 10 will do a number on whatever once he breaks through this wall.
And surely, so do you think he's just creating a bit of a block for the 15 Acolyte hybrids? Is that what he's going to try and do and engage? He's not too scared about the output coming from all of these in there, or he doesn't mind losing them early?
I think he's okay with losing at least one of these squads. Like we said earlier, the Aberrants, they're the one thing in his book that can take a bit of a punch back. Surprisingly so, if they get the right buffs off. So with a possible 4-up, I believe it's a 4-up possible Feel No Pain on these guys, they can take a hit. So he'll push them up, as long as he makes his charges, he's going to kill a ton of these dudes.
So this is the thing we haven't talked about yet, is that is how likely he is to make these charges. Normally, you deep strike, you got a 9-inch charge to make. However, obviously, and with potentially some re-rolling of a dice. But this army gets some bonuses to charge.
You got it. He can get up down to a 7-inch. He can also move after deep striking with the stratagem. So there's different ways depending on what strats he's been using. We don't really see it on camera. We're about a couple inches off. If we could pull over here, we're actually getting one of the Acolyte units dropped to try and deal with those engineers in the back corner.
There we go. So right there. So they're going to be trying to take out those Nurglings either through shooting or just...
I believe he's just going to go in and charge them.
Okay.
Can we get closer to see? I'm assuming he's using his hand flamer ones and not rock saws, but...
There we go. We're going to find out right now. Much easier to do this way.
Oh, you know what? And maybe he might be using the rock saws because he can give them the movement and then come up this
and
way.
Go in and get. So he's left
That's
a
exactly
gap.
what he's doing. So we just heard he did spend 3 CP. So
So-
after he deep struck, he moved them D6 and he got a very good roll on that D6.
Wow, that's
So
good. What
this
did he
is
roll? Did he roll a 5 or a
huge. It
6?
looks like he rolled a 5.
Wow.
So he got an extra 5. So he's now 4 inches away, just over 4 inches away from.
Do you think he's going to go in here, or he's going to try and go into both?
My guess is he's going to try to hit both, because the Nurglings, that's going to keep Buddy here from getting his engineer points, and Plague Burst, being able to deal with the Plague Burst Crawler is big news.
And that's a big first turn.
That is a huge
big first turn, and he's not scared, is he? He's
No.
just doing
Or
it.
second turn, I guess, but
Second turn.
First
yeah.
turn didn't count.
For
Nothing happened. It's what you see in Jinx, they're called.
but he still has to make the charge. So if he rolled a 5, it's still going to be a 4-inch charge here, 4 there.
Yeah, I would say this is a 4. It looks like the way he moved, this is more of a 5, maybe, but still not a hard charge to make. But still, you could fail. When you roll that 2 or 3, it's gonna not feel good.
And with a pilot and a consolidate, he definitely got that. That's that's
sure.
an additional 6 inches.
Yes,
so
because this is the one he needs to make, right? This looks like about a 4, and I'm not even touching the screen. So that's about a 4-inch by the looks of things there. So that's if he rolls well, that's going to be super good.
So yeah,
I think the mistake here is even though we said he made a really good screen, he did leave too much over there.
Yeah, so that's the issue I find with deep striking units is board wide. It's board wide, so creating like a defensive front line isn't going to really help you. We're also seeing a unit drop at the top as well, so it's just going to be a very first heavy engagement and push first turn.
Yes.
Yeah, he's just going to dominate the board and control, and then he's just going to make Owen deal with him.
Yeah, and he still is going to have, by the looks of things, and maybe he's not. Maybe because of this mistake, he's going to go all in. But he's still going to have a unit of Aberrants, by the looks of things, still in Deep Strike. I believe his Abominant will still be in Deep Strikes, and that's a heavy hitter.
Yes, it is a heavy hitter, and it's good. He's got to trade. He's putting down threats. Like for me, I don't know if I would necessarily play. I don't play this army, so I'm more than willing to be corrected as we see Jeff do use it. But it feels like I would try and put everything down if I can, and also having this width, so being able to engage here and engage there seems like a huge advantage.
It is big, and that's the thing that Genestealer cults can do, is they can hit you from all fronts. So now what we're seeing Jeff do is he's playing smart. He had a couple Brood Brothers units in Deep Strike. This is less offensive move. I mean, he's going to pick off a wound or 2 off those Plague Bearers right here. Mm-hmm. But really what he's doing is he's blocking off the table from the Blight Lords coming in for support.
Nice.
Right? So by dropping some Acolytes or Brood Brothers up this way, you create an arc, and then up this way. Now the Blight Lords have to come in around here if they're going to do anything.
Yeah, I agree with you, absolutely. And it's nice now we're seeing these final few units go down, as you've said. We'll get a top-down view, so there you go, so you can see. Effectively, that's the whole screen. So we talked about this bully unit. So now it's going to have to drop in this section of the board here, because the rest of the board has just been screened out. And
depending on this charge, then he can go out this way, and now he really only has this area that he can use. If these charges don't go off, but he could potentially be locked into a very small box, and potentially if it's a really big charge for Jeff, and Jeff's, I know for sure, obviously he's already talking about it, so he's very well aware. If he gets a big roll and comes down this way, and manages to get he might not even be able to drop the Blight Lords if he spreads it out enough. He may just lose them.
Just just early on, just turn 1. I mean,
turn 3, turn 3 deep strike if he doesn't have any space to put them down.
Yeah, you're right. That's good because this is already turn 2. So yeah, it makes absolutely loads of sense why Jeff would be so aggressive early on.
Yes, but this is why. Leaving this space open was so massive, and it's so hard to block out Genestealer cults because they can do a 3-inch deep strike, because they can add the 6 inches. So sometimes you don't think about it until it's too late, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And also it can be hard to see that at the get-go, which is why deep strike is such an interesting and tactical mechanic.
Yes.
But board control, is, in my opinion, is one of those really interesting things in 40k, because it's not often you have fairly limited shooting like you've got from both armies, but it's all about playing a game of combat. You don't see that often.
No.
Like you normally, one of the two players has got like a bunch of like shots that are going to go through something,
yes.
some auto cannons or something. You can start clearing some spaces, but that's neither of the two players have that apart from the hand flamer squad.
Yes.
So you're really looking at we're gonna play movement and fighting, which is cool.
No, I love it.
It's cool. Good matchup choice.
This is really good. I really like what's happening here. I'm really hoping. And here's the thing, whenever you see something like this, you never know what's going to happen with Nurgle. Because of the disgusting resilient, because of an involved save, because of the minuses to hit, you can potentially hit all of this in and just be like, yeah, I'm going to wreck your face. You do the bad maths, or your dice don't even have to fail you that much, because you get so many saves on the other side.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, you think you're wiping out a unit of Plague Bearers. He ends up having 3 or 4 left, and then he gets 6 back off of a good leadership and now you're like, well, the game is over. What's happened here?
Yeah,
right?
this is snowballing the other way,
yeah.
which is not what I was expecting.
Real quick.
And last game we did already see a combat alpha strike go off badly.
Yes.
So we could be potentially seeing something set up to happen the same again. It's a tough army, the Plague Bearer army, or the Nurgle army, sorry, and it does the work. And its output is. It's not quite what I would say. I don't think the output's huge from those bits. It's a survivable army, not an output army. So clearing those bodies is going to be fairly tough.
It's going to be tough, especially clearing the acolytes. Anything can clear acolytes, right? But clearing these aberrants, especially with now they have Might from Beyond on this top half, that's big too.
Yeah, and I think have we seen a ridiculous charge?
It looks like it was quite the charge. So I'm not sure what the. So it was 9-inch charge he made.
Yeah. So
he was able to, with that charge, tag the Plague Burst Crawler here, so we won't be able to overwatch. Now he's not going to kill. I shouldn't say that. Plague Burst Crawler shouldn't die, but you never know.
I don't think it will die. It's incredibly tough. I don't know. I'm going to talk quietly now in case the players can hear me. But I actually don't know why you wouldn't just push everything down here.
And I think that's going to be the plan. I think what he's actually doing, I don't even know if he declared a charge on the Plague Burst Crawler. He didn't want to be overwatched because the Plague Spitters can do a lot of work, and he was within 8. So he would have gotten flamered. He would have been hit with it wasn't a good scene for him. So from what I'm gathering, he just declared the Nurglings. He used the 9 inches, so that extra 5 inches. He's now able to get down this way. As you can see, he's already kind of making a little circle around them here, and then the rest. And then he's going to pile in on the tank.
So he still decided to go into the Plague Burst Crawler.
Yes, but only to tag it so it can't shoot next turn.
Yeah.
So
that's just the piling. Which is a good decision.
Yeah.
However, as we can see on the board, this center line, by the way, is the 24-inch line, and he's well over that. Very, very close to making it so that the Terminators are only going to be able to land in maybe this section. I mean, not quite that section. They might be able to land in here-ish.
Depending on what these Abominants do.
Yeah.
That's going to be big. This charge here may determine what these Blight Lords are even capable of doing, if anything.
But the thing is, and which is why some of the other units, and in some situations it can look like you've got great board control until you actually do the charge. So with these, another huge charge.
Yes, a 12-inch charge from the top Aberrant group, the one that's been buffed.
Wow, that is massive.
So they're getting a +3 to their rolls right now, that unit of Aberrants, from a combination of Warlord trait and Vigilance Detachment and some other things. Plus Forearmed Emperor gives them an extra inch. So that's huge. He's going to be able to tag whatever he wants really with that.
Thank you.
And then we just have to see what this bottom one can do.
So that's created even more zones. And the reason we keep talking about these Blight Lord Terminators, it's huge points cost.
Yes.
It's really the big bully unit, potentially even the pivot unit inside of this army.
He really needs those Blight Lords to deal with this situation that's happening. The Blight Lords are what's going to be able to take out those Abominants, But if you can't get them down, then this game is already over. That's what we're getting to.
Yes, that's what we're trying to say, and it's some really solid moves by Jefferson. He's just playing super aggro to achieve that, but it's whether or not. I mean, the dice can now let him down.
Yes, exactly. If he whiffs on these plague bearers, he's in a bad position, because if any of those plague bearers live and he can't then carry over into these guys in the back, then yes, these blight lords can kind of come in this area. And now he's at least got some protection. He might take him a turn or two to dig himself out, but
it could.
Yeah.
Talking about a man who can dig himself out of almost any situation.
It's true.
Yeah. Some call him the burrower.
The burrower, I like that. Yes.
Yeah, the burrower.
The mole rat.
He's burrowed into my heart. Is a man who's going to tell you what's happening around the rest of Capital City Bloodbath event. Mr. Val Heffelfinger.
Hi, everyone. Actually, I'm usually referred to as the giver, and I'm about to give you some facts. Out there in the wider tournament coverage, look at that tournament. Look at Logan walking by the camera. Absolutely beautiful, man. Regardless, we've got over on table 7, we've got Jason Sparks versus Eric Dion. From what I understand, maybe some past history there. Could have been a little chippy. Also looks like a rough open for Eric Dion. Jason Sparks is running an Imperium list. He's got 3 of those Executioners with Gilliman, old Gilliman now. Took out a Kaitan and a Helldrake. I don't know how long that game's going to go for. Josh Death drew Dark Angels. So we'll move on. Jim Vessel and Kieran Gibb. This is maybe one of the most beautiful tabletops in 40k I've ever seen. Absolutely gorgeous armies going against each other. Looked like we were just working our way through the first Eldari shooting phase, so a more interesting update coming up. We've got Eric Scrivens, or Eric Trock, who's one of the higher-ranked Custodes players here, up from New Jersey, if I'm not mistaken. Didn't talk about him in round 1. He did get the W, something like 14-12. They played 5 rounds. I think 6 secondary points were scored in the whole thing. That's the way you got to be when you're a Custodes player. Real cagey, real crafty. He's drawn quite the nasty little Zinch list. It's a lot of the Enlightened dudes with the bows and Zangors in reserve. We'll have to see. We'll have to see how that one goes for old Eric Truck. Dustin Henshaw, playing GSC, best performer from Team Canada in 2018. Drew Nathan Krulicki, who's running 9. Count them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 Raven Guard Dreadnoughts. He is the real deal. We are 100% going to have him on this feed. Because, drawing a bunch of rock saws may not be the best look. After that, Eric Marcoux is playing, pardon me, I apologize, Wayne Shelson, who is also running an army that has got to be in the runnings for Best Painted. Absolutely gorgeous, intricately detailed Knights army. They had gone for beers and hung out a little bit because it's Knights on Knights. By the time I get there for an update, it'll be over. Finally, just rounding things out with Stephen Pamperine over on table 47. He's playing Tau. Tau took mid-board and was just starting their first shooting phase when I was going by. So we'll see how that goes. It's a big blob of drones and riptides coming right out the Warbass. He does talk a lot of trash about Tau, though, so maybe he'll clean it up. Let's see what else. Dan Platt looking like he was in some tough sledding. Lost a Disco Lord, and looked like a Chaos Lord on a bike. I'll give you an update on Canada's formerly best player another time. With that, I'm just looking over at the booth and the very much attentive and caring hosts who would never just sort of get up and walk away and leave the stream abandoned. No, these guys are professionals. You might call them pros, as a matter of fact. They are always on top of things, ready with the best content, and just sort of wandering around, filling for time here. So, yeah. There we go. Yes, very good. Rob realized he was on a show that he created. Isn't that wonderful? So I will now kick it back over to the booth. Rob Symes.
Thank you, Mr. Val Heffelfinger. I'm sorry that I am not the professional that you are, but he is an angel.
Yes.
I'm joined by the Falcon.
Kaka!
This is the Falcon. Thank you to everyone who's watching on YouTube, Facebook, or Twitch. We're taking comments on Twitch if you want to join us. We are in round 2 of Capital City Bloodbath's 40k ITC 6-round event, largest event in Canada for 40k. Very exciting. We've got a Nurgle force with a large proportion of Death Guard units.
Yes.
Up against a Genestealer Cult force run by Jeff. Owen's running the Nurgle force. We're in the Genestealer Cult's second turn. Nurgle haven't had their second turn yet. In the first turn, not much happened. A little bit of posturing.
Just little posturing.
Yeah, there was some chests out.
Genestealer Cults were like, I'm just going to hide up here in this little corner out of fear more than anything else. And then they deep struck literally probably 1,700 points of their list because of Genestealer Cult shenanigans.
So we had a big deal happen here. So we had this unit of Plague Bearers, and I'm pretty certain the Falcon's about to tell me some things about how to move that.
Yes.
But before that happens, we had that there, and then with the deep striking that we had occur here, we had a unit deep strike and then charge into this unit of Nurglings at the back, which are engineer for the secondary. We also had 2 units of Aberrants which charged in here and also succeeded. One of them in this kind of central place, making a 12-inch charge with their +3. So they've blocked off a load of board space. And why this is important is the Nurgle force have potentially got a unit of Death Guard, Terminators, Death Shroud Terminators that come in and do the work. But now they're kind of zoned in because they have to do it outside of 9 inches into this small square space.
Yes.
But Falcon, yeah, you're a man who flies upon the wings of hope and change.
Yes.
What is it that we saw here that caused this situation?
So the real big turning point here so far, and you never know what's going to happen when this is all said and done, is Owen. He's doing one of the things so right when you're playing an army like with a lot of Plague Bears, a lot of units in general, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because time's an issue. You only have so many hours in a round. A lot of players like to play with chess clocks. There are chess clock rules at this event. So he's using movement trays. See these beautiful little suckers right here? They're gorgeous. They help you maneuver so much faster in the
Everyone
game.
should use them.
And everyone, if you aren't, unless you're running like Imperial Knights, in which case, I don't know if you need them. But anything else, you really should have them.
Couldn't agree more.
Now, the one thing Owen should have done when he deployed was take these mother effers off of the movement trays so that your arc goes like this. And then maybe you have a little loop that you can go back this way. Why is that important, you say? Well, because by leaving them on the movement trays, he gave this space open to the Genestealer Cults to drop in.
Mm-hmm. And
so Jeff was able to measure out a nice little 3 or 4 inch gap right here against this wall. He dropped his unit of Rocksaw Acolytes here.
Which are a big, punchy unit. It's a bully unit in his army.
And it's a punchy unit that cannot take a hit back. So he does not want it to hit the Plague Bearers like this. He needed it to come in the back really to perform. And he gave him the chance. The other thing Genestealer Cults do really well is after deep strike shenanigans. So he was able to roll D6 movement after he deep struck and get them all the way up here. So he now only has a 4-inch charge he needs to make against the Nurgling Engineers in the back, and he can tag one of the mortars.
And that's massive because obviously engineer that he's trying to keep, that Owen is trying to keep safe at the back of the board
to claim victory points.
And now just going to be denied to him because he left the gap.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Jeff was able to tag the Nurglings. He's able to tag this tank. And then, like Rob had said, 20 Abominants hit this Plague Bearer blob.
And they're fighting it out now. I think they've done. They activated later on.
They did activate one of the units of Abominants already. So here's the thing: when Owen realized that he was about to get hit, he popped everything he could on the Plague Bearers. So the Plague Bearers right now are -2 to be hit. They have a 4+ invulnerable save and a 5+ feel no pain.
Wow!
So they are very hard to kill. The first unit of Abominants was originally hitting on 2s, wounding on 2s, rerolling 1s. Because of the -2 hitting on 4s. He rolled relatively poorly. He only killed 4 Plague Bearers with that big blob.
That's incredible.
That's really big for
That's
Owen.
Incredible.
But
I do like that visual image, though. I like the idea of a bunch of absolute torn and twisted aberrant models swinging into a cloud of flies and missing ferociously. It's a cool image.
It sounds amazing.
Yeah, it does sound really cool. And then he's swinging again now.
So now his Abominants, he did one thing he was able to measure out. He was within range of the Demon Prince that is right here. So the Abominants were able to fit in, and he's putting as many attacks as he can into the Demon Prince instead of the Plague Bearer screen.
Into the Demon Prince, yes. And it's going to be quite important that the Demon Prince goes down, potentially?
That's what I think Jeff thinks he'll be able to do. So as you can see, unfortunately for Owen, when he put his Demon Prince here, he left a big enough gap that these Abominants, when they got their 12-inch charge, were able to completely encircle the Plague Bearers and tag the Demon Prince as well.
That's good. That's good. And the demon, I mean, it's a Nurgle Demon Prince at the end of the day.
So he's not like he's easy to kill.
No.
But Abominants hit like trucks.
They do.
Like absolute
very,
trucks.
very, very hard. I think we've got an Abominant unit card to look at potentially. Oh, no, we don't have that right now. But we were going to look at that in a little bit and talk about that. But yeah, so they've got a lot of attacks, but they're the ones that are only -1 to hit to 2 damage.
Yes.
Yes.
So the Abominants have struck. He put these Abominants into the Demon Prince. 7 wounds have gone through after everything, and they're D3 damage apiece.
So he's a dead Demon Prince.
Theoretically, he does have a feel no pain.
He does, and you can roll really well, and the D3 can roll really poorly.
Yes, so
but
it's
more than
possible he
likely.
lives. On average dice.
Would you say on aberrant dice?
On aberrant dice, the Demon Prince is super dead.
Which is, again, is a lot to lose in the first turn because of that 12-inch charge.
Yes.
Yeah, so it was a good roll, obviously, which got him into that position. But realistically, my philosophy is never give your opponent the ability to roll well.
Exactly.
That's what I prefer to do. And ultimately, this was a mistake to have him so close. I'm assuming it's because he intended to put some... if we go back a little bit out, you'll see that potentially... or not.
Yes, I see what you're trying to say. I think I don't think he thought this was going to happen. Gene Stealer Cults being able to get an additional 3 inches on their charges is really the only thing that made that charge possible, to be able to tag that Demon Prince in the way he did. So yeah, a deadly maneuver. The Demon Prince is dead. 12 wounds went through.
Whoa.
And he only
so some of the chat is saying don't forget he wouldn't have been able to declare him as a target if he wasn't within 12, but he obviously also wouldn't have been able to do a charge and then attack, which is a pretty basic 40k rule, and both of these players are way beyond that.
Yes, so he was definitely within 12 of the initial charge, so he was able to declare him. But yes, you are 100% correct. If he had put that Demon Prince back here, he's now not a target.
Yeah, and then he would have been safe. So the overall battlefield looks fairly tough for Nurgle at this stage.
Yes, it does. Now, luckily for him, that bottom unit of Aberrants did whiff, so he does still have a ton of Plague Bearers that can hold the line for him for a little bit. We're now really going to be reliant on we're now really need to see what happens here. I mean, those Nurglings are 100% dead. There's no question of it.
Well, then, let's while we're waiting to see how the combat's resolves, let's look at the secondaries for both players, which will be worth... Huh? Yeah, secondaries for both players, and then we'll see.
Yeah, we'll touch on them a little more. We tried to get them earlier. There was a little bit of an error in one, but I think we've got it correct.
But I'm glad you spotted them. That's the professional in you. You knew.
You know, I did happen to type them out in a little notepad just in case.
There we go. So look, these are Jeff's secondaries, and this is what he's been trying to achieve this turn. Recon, and he's put a bunch of units in the backfield there, which is a double win for him. He's screened out those Deathstroud Terminators at the same time as also scoring himself a point. Headhunter, a point for each character that is destroyed. So he's picked up one already for that Demon Prince.
Yes,
now.
he did.
And then Big Game Hunter, 1 point for every enemy model within a monster or vehicle keyword with 7 wounds that gets destroyed. So it's going to be those Plague Burst Crawlers and the
Mephitic Blight Haulers.
And the Mephitic Blight Haulers. Great name, but I wish Games Workshop would call things kind of simpler things sometimes.
Yeah, I would be okay with it, especially now with the new Space Marine Codex having, 18 units that start with M or N. I don't know anymore.
I can't wait for the Litigator unit. Yeah, that's the unit I'm very excited about.
But this is really good choices by Jeff. I'm not 100% on Headhunter, but sometimes you start running out of options because Owen is only running 4 characters in the list. He has 2 Poxbringers. No, he does have 5 because of the Foul Blight spawn.
But they are pretty frontline characters.
It's true, yes.
Yeah, because they're keeping up to, because they're applying buffs to like the Deathstroud Terminators and other units. So they're going to be somewhere in the midfield and at the end of the day, this is an army that excels in taking an opportunity for a small gap and doing a deep strike, charging in and taking advantage of it.
I couldn't say it better myself.
Oh, thanks. Well, that's very nice. The secondaries also that we got for the other player.
Yes, can we see Owen's secondaries?
Because he's unfortunately just. This is the one that's an issue.
This is now an issue. I think it was
Owen.
I think, to be fair, it was the choice he should have made, but because of that kind of poor screen at the beginning, it put him in a really bad spot. Those engineers usually are a pretty safe bet for Nurgle because, so hard to kill them. So hard to kill anything. And Nurglings don't do much else unless they're scouting for like early game objectives. So keeping him in the back was a solid plan. He just couldn't execute.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Like it was all there, and it's something as simple as just the first turn, just moving a unit forward, and it's what Gene Stealers do. They take advantage of those small minutiae mistakes. It's true for all armies as well. 40k is a particularly fast game as well. If you look at the Eldar, they're always ultra rapid.
Yes.
You got a lot of movement when it's got the option to do that. But sometimes it doesn't look like that on the tabletop.
Yeah.
Sometimes it doesn't seem that way. And then he's also got Reaper, the Reaper.
Always a good choice against an army with a ton of bodies, and I believe Jeff is running something like 150, 160. So theoretically,
mere drops in an ocean of an orc army.
Yeah, yes, mere drops. But it's generally against Gene Stealer cults, it's a free 4 points. That being said, being put on the ropes this early might not be now.
I agree with Guard Daddy in the chat. Says movement wins games, and I'd say that's always true.
I think you are 100% correct, Guard Daddy.
My favorite stat.
Yeah.
My favorite stat.
Yes.
Movement. Yeah.
I
all
love
the day. And then Headhunter. Each enemy character that is destroyed, and there's a ton of characters in the
Gene Stealer cults.
army.
They have 11, 12 most of the time.
Yeah, they do. So there's
that's just like an auto take, really. I think those three secondaries are exactly the ones he should have taken. I don't think it's just this, like we've said a couple times now, keeping these guys on the movement train so you can't spread them out properly was a bit of an issue, and it may have cost him.
Yes, it the whole game.
Yeah,
like,
it may have.
It's that simple because, like, what did we say? 1,700 points or 700 points that came in Deep Strike. All of the points, basically.
Yes, basically. Essentially, because of that awesome blip rule that they have, where they can then spend a command point to remove an additional 3 units like into Deep Strike more than anybody else can. It does leave him with this kind of almost null deploy, as we call it, where you deploy almost no units. You leave your opponent in a weird position, which for Nurgle isn't so bad because they're so sedentary anyway. But this ability to just be like, this is all I'm going to deploy. You have no idea what my strategy is going to be. I can show up anywhere. Very Gene Stealer cult, by the way.
Very, very. That's their narrative. That's how they work.
I think that's the most beautiful part about that codex is how much they play like you would expect, like in your mind. If you read any book about Gene Stealer cults, like that's what they do.
The only thing they don't have is some sort of like when they play, they somehow like make that tingle run up your spine.
Yeah,
that would be
weird.
I
don't know,
some sort of vibrating,
some kind of
button.
ASMR situation.
I don't mind that.
No, I know.
That would work.
I mean,
I would like it if you were forced in the rules to walk up to your opponent and whisper in their ear, "I'm deploying." If you're like, "Oh, that's creepy. I don't like that. Please never do that to me again."
or keep doing that.
So I think we can look at some of the units that are impacting the game and how important they are. You choose. So we're going to look at the aberrants and see why they're so good and have a bit of a deep dive.
At these
because do we see these all the time? Muscle Beach, as you call it.
Muscle Beach.
Do we see this all the time?
So there was a brief time before the Gene Stealer Cult Codex where aberrants were absolutely everywhere. You couldn't find them because they're so hard to get a hold of. They were only in one box. Now they are pretty part and parcel with
Zoom in.
Every Gene Stealer. I shouldn't say every. The majority of competitive Gene Stealer Cult lists. Nick Nadavati is a well-known player in the professional scene.
I've heard of that fella. He plays for Team England, right?
He does play for Team England.
Team England, an English fella.
Mostly English.
Mostly English, I think.
American English, I guess.
He's English.
Yeah.
English-American.
English-American.
English-American. He was in the English team, so that makes him English-American. I'm right in that?
He was a Merc.
America.
America. So Brown Magic, as we like to call him, he had started running a list that everyone affectionately called Muscle Beach. Which is based on aberrants, and it picked up because they are absolutely deadly with the ability to give them +3 inches to their charge, or you could go with the Twisted Helix, which makes them harder to kill. That's another option. G-Steel cults have a lot of different cult options. Those are just beautiful. You can make them extremely durable or just extremely deadly. In Jeff's case here, he's gone with more the deadly route with the Four-Armed Emperor, so they get that extra inch off the charge when they deep strike. It's pretty scary. If you take a look at that stat line, 3+ weapon skill. You can cast a spell that's very easy to get off.
Strength 5.
Ability. Yeah, it's Strength 5. So you can cast Might from Beyond on them, which gives them +1 to hit. And it gives them, I believe, +1 to... They can get +1 to wound. They can reroll wounds.
The Vigilance attachment, I think, gives them +1 to wound. Yes.
It becomes absolutely terrifying.
Yes, and as you can see, their attacks, they start out too. I think they get a bunch more attacks.
They can, yes.
As they go forward as well. Hitting on 3s, they can reroll 1s, they get +1 to hit. So hitting on 2s, rerolling 1s, punching it through, and those power picks are going to be Strength 5, maybe Strength 6 with +1 to wound, -2 D3 damage. What we saw, so we saw that 1 unit of 10 take out a Demon Prince of Nurgle in a single round.
And he wasn't even using the modified weapons that 2 of them can take, which he does have in each unit. So he does have 2 of the essential stop signs of doom in each list as well, which are Strength ×2. So he can get up to Strength 12, Strength 14, even with the right buffs, and just absolutely lambaste something.
And do a lot more damage than you would normally expect them to be able to do.
A unit of Aberrants, I should say, can hit just about anything.
Yes. What would
Having a good chuckle.
I was just picturing them hitting things then, and I was like, I wonder what I would like them to hit.
In my mind, just the fact that they're carrying stop signs and just killing Imperial Knights with them is what makes it for me. When you see a unit of Aberrants with stop signs walk into an Imperial Knight and just be like, you think about Space Marines. They're like looking at all their stuff. They're like, man, I got this Thunder Hammer, I've got this Power Sword, but I could have just been using that stop sign to do this.
Yeah, that's well, I've got this relic from the rock.
Yes,
I brought it with me across space.
Yes, it gives me 3 extra attacks. What can your thing do? Oh, I just found a stop sign.
Also, I'm very interested in the company and the organization that are placing stop signs in and around the 40k universe.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
Because who's listening to those rules?
Yeah, the Departamento Munitorum is really they're really on the ball about signage. That's about it. Traffic laws are important.
But they're also really upset with having to getting stolen.
Constantly by the G-Stealer cults.
Thank you very much, everyone. Mike from behind is +1
Manticore for the +1. Yes.
Yeah, I think you actually get +1 to hit from the Primus, or
you're probably
you get it from the other fella.
Patriarch.
Yeah, thank you so much. We've now moved on from Jesus of the Cult's turn. So it's the counter attack time.
Yes, it's time.
Jeff has done his job. He's dropped and attacked. He's put his nuts on the table and he said, "Here they are."
Yes.
What have you got?
Come at me, bro.
And Owen sat on 9 CP and a load of dreams.
Yes, and the Nurglings here are gone. The first unit, at least, is dead. He still has 1 more unit that can get him engineer points. But it's going to be very interesting. Owen has apparently realized, I'm told, that he's in a rough spot for his Blightlord Terminators. He's got to find a place where he can fit them.
Oh, so where he's going to put them down on the tabletop. My camera.
And so what it looks like is that this is really the only space available for those Blightlord Terminators, the way everything's currently positioned.
Oh dear. And that's because this unit is I'm going to go over there and have a little peruse for the pair of us, because it's quite important realistically. So there we go. Not much space. So as you can see, the line here is drawn, and also to here.
Yes.
So it's just, so then you have to be 9 inches away. So maybe in there is where you can fit.
Exactly.
And because we're only in turn 2 though, so he has.
This is his turn 2. Yes.
This
so he has
his
one
turn
more
2.
turn.
So he has a turn to clear, and I would say that the area where he's most likely to clear is this, because these can't take much of a punch. But then he's not dealing with all of the threats in the front. However, his vehicles, if they're going to suffer to anything, are also going to suffer to this unit. So there's a kind of a double win, I think, from clearing out the Roxor unit at the back.
Yes.
So that would probably be what I would go for, and then maybe bring them down in turn 3 as opposed to take the bad position on turn 2.
It's hard to say, because one thing you have to realize is that this unit of...
Oh, sorry, I'll move back.
Yes.
There you go. Go for it.
So this unit of Acolytes has tagged this tank here.
Yes.
If he can't pull this tank out of combat, then he has to use close combat to remove those acolytes.
And they want to fight.
Yeah.
They love a fight.
So that's a bad take there, unfortunately. So Owen may need to deep strike right now and then hope for the 9-inch charge to take those out. And that's not really what he wants to do either.
No, because then he's just he couldn't be in a worse spot, like for exactly where he wants to put that destructive unit.
Yes.
And also he needs to start killing some units as well, which he can do if he frees himself up. But the unit that he's going to do that with is, especially locking things in combat, is going to mean that he's not going to be able to apply any damage via shooting, which a lot of his stuff currently is where his main output's going to come. I would say.
I think you're correct. Yeah.
Oh,
and
good.
it does look like he chose not to deep strike them, so
he's not going to. Okay, so he's going to try and clear it out. Oh, okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
So it does look like he found another small area right here that he could just barely fit the Blight Lords in. So lucky for him, there was just enough. There was just 9 inches here and 9 inches here that he was able to put it in this area, which is a much better spot than where we were saying in this small corner. It gives him a potential 9-inch charge this way towards these characters that are in this ruin. And then he also has, the potential to get into the backfield, which is something that Blightlord Terminators really love to do. Although my guess is he's going to go after these characters and these abominants and try to aberrants and try to clear them out.
So it's nice that he got left that gap, right?
Yes, it's actually perfect for him. I think it's the
I like
most
how
ideal situation.
Yeah, we talked about. We spent a good 10 minutes talking about how he was all blocked in here. Turns out that just was wrong.
Well, it just Jeff just missed it, I guess, by the looks of things. He just missed that there was a small little.
But we did say this.
Arc.
We did say this. I did say this earlier actually, because he put the line here, put the line here, put the line here. He's like, I've blocked it all out. But then he had the line here.
Yes.
But when it charged, it moved in.
I think he got a little too aggressive. He probably could have chained the. I think what happened here, and I'm speaking for somebody else, is Jeff got a little too excited about the potential of killing a whole bunch of plague bearers, and so he put everything in when he could have chained them back a little more.
And it's you're talking about maybe 4 models worth of attacks.
Yes.
Which has swung the game hugely, which is why top table 40k is so interesting, because that minutia of movement, that single thought, is what is potentially going to change the shape of the game.
Exactly.
Because his initial play was excellent, right? Blocked the board, zoned out, engaged the right units, kills a demon prince, great.
Yes.
Starts killing engineers, great. But he just smashed it.
He did, and I think this is good. This is really good, because what we were a little doom and gloom turn 2 about where what Nurgle was going to do, but having this come in here. And it really all is going to depend on some charges.
Okay, well, should we wait to see if those charges occur?
While we're waiting to see those charges, why don't we cut over to the most beautiful man in the industry with a fake name?
Exactly. So tie yourself into a seat, because when you come back, some charges may have swung the course of the game. Is he the most beautiful man? He looks like he's road here. Mr. Val Heffelfinger.
Val Heffelfinger.
Well, if there's cool stuff happening, I'll be fast then. Okay, so over in the Eric Dion versus Jason Sparks game on table 7, Jason's well ahead on his secondaries. He had killed a ton of stuff right off the bat, but Eric's actually hanging in there. He's being very crafty around ruins and keeping whatever he can alive. He's got some Disco Lords just sort of sneaking up the table. So he's still in there, but well behind on secondaries. Of course, those are things you can catch up on, and he's keeping up on primaries, so we'll see what happens there. Moving over to, I was talking about Eric Trock or Eric Scrivens. He's playing the Zegan Lighten and Zangors. It looks like there's nothing of his on the table, but in fact, he's got all of his custodians hanging out in Deep Strike reserves. He forfeited 4 points in the first round on primary. As they say, that's a bold play, Cotton. We'll see how it works out for him. Nathan Krulicki against Dustin Henshaw. Still got 6 Dreadnoughts on the table. Turn 4 versus Gene Stealer Cult. That's a victory right there. He's behind 12-6 on the score. But hey, this guy, I think if there's a people's champion in this tournament, Nathan Krulicki with 9 Raven Guard Dreadnoughts. We're going to be getting him on the show for a little bit of an interview later, surely. Rounding it out, noticing Pamps with his orcs, carved off one of the riptides in the blob in the middle of the table that he was facing, and was punking it with his various orcs shooting. So it looks like that's going to be a big deal. If he was able to bring down a riptide, I'll let you know. Finally, Zach Camo, currently our point leader. He took a rough seize right off the top. All of his engineers got killed immediately. And the only silver lining was the Void Raven bomber that flew over his head completely flubbed, so that's nice. Meanwhile, table 51, Dan Platt, former famous Canadian player. He is really pulled it back. His army's way downfield now. Essentially, as I was walking by, he was locking the screens in combat with Plague Bears. The Epitome was up there. Morty was toe-to-toe with 2 knights. I'm thinking that Dano might be able to pull that one back together. So, without further ado, we're going to kick it on back over to the booth, who is, as always, ready to receive the throw. And here they are.
What I like about Val is only game 2, and he looks like a half-cut Englishman on the Riviera of a French cafe, yeah, reading some Tolstoy and just dreaming of a world where we enfranchise the poor. What a gorgeous man.
I mean, he is the bourgeoisie, 100%.
But he looks gorgeous.
He does. I mean, he lives the dream. He lives the part. Oh, my God. What's on screen right now?
Right now is this is the unit we need to talk about.
Not a Plague Burst Crawler.
We're not going to talk about that unit.
Scrivo. Look at Scrivo is losing his
He's
mind.
doing so well. He is losing his full fucking mind.
Yeah, he's like, this is it. Okay, here we go.
He was so prepped before the break. He's like, I'm going to do this.
He was so excited. He came up to me. He's like, I'm going to show you Blight Lord.
Here we go.
Awesome.
Right, so there you go. The Blight Lord Terminators. Yeah. The reason we're going to talk about these, by the way, if you've just joined us, thanks for being back here.
Thank you for watching.
Scrivo actually didn't let me do my welcome back.
What a guy.
I have a bump, but that's fine. If you've just joined us, it's Gene Stealer Corps versus Death Guard.
Yes.
And we're in turn 2. And importantly,
turn 2.
Importantly, Death Guard's turn 2. And the reason we're showing you the Blight Lord Terminators is we thought that they'd been screened off the board.
Yes.
But they hadn't been. They've deep struck. They're 9 inches away in the center of the board. And we're just going to talk about how absolutely baller this very expensive unit is.
Yes. So big things about Blight Lord Terminators is they are what some would call an ultimate bully unit. They're extraordinarily hard to kill. If they can somehow get into close combat, they do a lot of damage. The sergeant in that unit has a flail that is, like, for all intents and purposes, does mortal wounds, because when it hits, if it kills something, any extra damage it does carries over to the next model, which is really big. And the big thing with this unit is that they're so hard to pull off of wherever they are.
Yeah, well, we're just doing some. They're just doing some cheeky measuring now, but and they're super tough, right? They're Terminators.
Yes.
2 up save, 4 up invulnerable save, 5 up internal save because it's Tartarus.
4 up because it's Cataphracti.
Cataphracti. There you go, because they're old school.
Yes.
They're 10,000 years of
10,000 years of
spreading
bile
plague.
and disease. Yes.
Yeah. I think I just saw Jeff and Owen have a little friendly like they're helping each other move the stuff around, which is very nice. The atmosphere seems quite good between those two. We can go back to the top down now, John. Thank you very much.
So they're extraordinary, like we said, extremely hard to kill. They can hit hard. They've got combi bolters, so they can put out a ton of shots. Anyway, what they're doing right now is they're remeasuring the distance from the models to the Blight Lords because Owen may have been like a couple centimeters too aggressive. He had not seen a model that was hiding in a ruin. So it kind of pushed him back a little bit. It does look like he still actually had room to go there,
which is good.
But they're just double checking some things to be sure.
And what's nice is our table boss is making sure it's all going fine.
Yes, our table boss is there. And
it's a good role, the table boss.
If you've never seen Max Dubois, he's an intimidating figure, but also will give you a kiss in short notice.
Yeah, he reminds me a lot of Leon, had he lived in that movie.
Yes.
And kind of reached like middle age and let himself go.
Yep, let him just a little bit. That's a little bit. He's looking at us now. I have fear in my heart.
He seems okay with that analogy.
Yeah.
He really does.
I don't know who Leo is. But anyway.
Anyway, so yeah, Max is doing good, and so those Blight Lord Terminators are down. So if you have just joined us, we're in the second turn for Nurgle, and it's quite an important turn because a unit that we didn't, and they made the charge as well.
They did make the charge.
This is huge. So
yes.
right down here, this unit of Blight Lord Terminators have engaged. We thought that they basically got screened off the board, but maybe Owen knew something that we didn't know. Maybe he planned this all along.
Yes.
I'd say probably not, but
who knows? So yeah, so he did make the 9-inch charge here. He rolled the 9 he needed to get into combat with the abominants, the aberrants, I should say. What they were discussing, just so everyone is aware, is there is a Clamavis hiding in this box, which what that does is it. The big thing that Clamavis does, you cannot deep strike within 12 inches instead of 9 from the Clamavis.
Wow, that's a great ability.
It is, and so that was all that was he hadn't realized that the Clamavis was in there. He needed to move an extra inch.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's all that was there. So, but he has made the charge. He had killed, using his combi bolters, a few of the Brood Brothers. One thing that needs to be said is basically everything in this box that shoots things couldn't. There was nothing for them to really target other than these infantry up here.
Oh, because everything's locked in combat.
Everything is locked in combat or hiding or out of range. So Owen's shooting phase was relatively poor.
Well, that's interesting because we were going to talk about the Plague Burst Crawlers and the Mephitic Blight Haulers and talk about their output. But as you said, the Aberrants are locked in here. This Plague Burst Crawler is locked in as well.
Yes.
So just neutering the shooting phase by being engaged in combat is excellent.
Yep. And we just got word that Jeff has popped the stratagem from Vigilus that let's do this better. This unit here fight when they die.
Yes.
So every time an Aberrant is killed, it will get to swing back at these Blight Lords, which is big. Blight Lords are super hard to kill, but if anything's going to do it, it's a bunch of guys with wrecked stop signs and
they have
sadness.
Yeah. The thieves of the 40k universe with their stop signs. What's next? What are they gonna pilfer next to hit people with?
Well, I don't know.
The traffic cone unit.
Yeah.
Am I to be scared of them? Maybe they'll throw the whole kitchen sink. That's the next model they need to.
I'm
put
super
out.
excited by the concept.
And you're right. They're going to hit the Blight Lord Terminator. So this is really, John. Can I get my camera, please? It really is going to be. Like a matchup of the two bully units that we saw. Apart from this unit here that's strung out, the Roxor unit is exactly where it wants to be. We talked about this earlier, so that's got 4 Roxors in, I think.
I believe he has got 4 or 5. I'd have to look again at the list. But
and they are literally here, in my opinion, to take out these Plague Burst Crawlers and the Mephitic Blight Haulers. So, yeah, they're not going to survive there for particularly long, but they are in the place that they want to be. And as they haven't been shot, they're not going to be hit, and they're in combat already, so they're going to get a round of combat in this turn and a round of combat in their own turn. And
one thing we haven't mentioned recently, at least, is there are still 2 units in Deep Strike for the Gene Stealer cults that have to come in this turn.
What's left to come in?
A unit of Aberrants and another squad of Acolytes. I believe it's the Hand Flamer squad.
Oh, the Hand Flamer guys. We haven't seen them.
No, they haven't shown up yet.
And I put my money on them being the first unit down to clear a screen. And Jeff showed me that I knew nothing about 40k.
Apparently, right?
Yeah. With Flamers going to go in. So there we go. So this is the combat, a muddy battlefield against our snowy backdrop.
Yes.
Of Aberrants versus Blight Lord Terminators.
Blight Lord Terminators.
Blight Lord Terminators. This is the combat that could decide the game.
It is possible if this swings really hard one way or the other that this does determine the game.
Let us know in the Twitch chat who your money is on, who you're rooting for. It's okay to do it, Falcon. Are you rooting for anyone? Are you a Chaos guy? Or a Gene Stealer Cults guy? Does the Brood Mind call to you?
So, I'm going to tell you this. When I first started doing 40kstats.com, I was listening to a lot of audiobooks while I did my stats, and one of the books I picked up was a recent one called I believe the Sons of Silence, about Death Guard, and their numerology, because that's what they worship is numbers. Really, more than disease, it's the numbers that Nurgle follows, and so that calls to me a little bit, just a little bit.
So for me, why Warhammer 40,000 is an excellent game. I like the mechanics, tabletop wise, always have, but the narrative is excellent. Like and what's nice is the emotive nature of the models that you see on the tabletop produced by the backstory. And I have to say, in my opinion, that anyone who helps create that narrative is probably a beautiful person.
Oh, I would 100% assume.
I would agree. I would just say, if you're helping create books and the narrative around that universe, you're probably an angel.
Oh, guaranteed.
Yeah, with a beautiful face. And
yes.
Yeah.
I've never met an ugly author. Well, that's not true.
No, me either. And the authors need help too. It's not just the authors; it's all of them. They're all brilliant people.
All
brilliant.
babes.
I describe them
all
as.
babes, not baboos, but babes, not baboos.
Okay, that's my unsubtle compliment to someone listening at home. But as we
so I'm all for Blight Lords. I'm really hoping they pull this off.
I'm actually all for Death Guard. In the Heresy, one of my favorite legions, the Death Guard. Are you not for the Death Guard?
In terms of the Heresy, I wasn't. I like them more later. But for me, it's always been Alpha Legion. Love my little tricksy men's.
Oh, so Legion, the book, is one of the best books written.
So amazing.
So good. You guys should read that. However, we're completely not talking about Warhammer now. We're talking about
Warhammer, but not the right kind of Warhammer. How about we cut to somebody that's actually talking about something
who knows
important?
what they're talking about. Mr. Val Heffelfinger himself, fresh from the French Riviera.
And he's actually found someone that's...
We got a nice balanced frame here for you folks, because I'm joined by Eric Marcoux. Now, Eric was one of the brothers in battle with me last year at the ETC, where I scored 6 points. Eric did not score 6 points. He scored a lot, and then he was back this year. Very quickly, how was your ETC experience with Team Canada in 2018?
Well, it was very good. So, 2018 or 2019?
Obviously 2019.
Okay, it was very good. It was very fun. We had a great team, great people, really cool bunch of people, and then we had great games all over, mostly. I guess I'll just leave out the other one. And we end up with best sports, so that's a really, really nice way to end up a tournament like that. We did not expect it. It was just a surprise. Very well, ended. Very cool.
That's really wicked. A little cliche for Canada to wind up with best sports. But for those of you who don't know, ETC is the European Team Championship. It's like the World Cup or the Olympics of 40k. It's a really awesome event. Best players from around the world go to a very cheap place in Eastern Europe and play 40k on some hard Scrabble terrain. But the quality of the competition is probably unparalleled in Warhammer. Where it is also unparalleled is, of course, a capital city bloodbath here in Ottawa, Ontario, Canada. You just finished your game.
Yep.
Now, it's like 5 minutes since the round started. So what were you playing against?
Well, it was knight on knight. So the guy only had knights, so two Elverins, 2 Warglaves, a Crusader, and 2 Gallants. Compared to my 3 knights with some Guardsmen and Basilisk and stuff like that. So went first, killed his Crusader, then he did a little bit of damage and killed the knight. It was just like, that's how it goes. Like crass Crusaders against knight with nothing else. That's how it goes, sadly.
So there is a nice little piece of tech there. I believe there's a relic or something with crest that just turns them into stone cold, Titanic killers. You walk through these guys, what that crest combo is.
Yeah, well, it's easy. Basically.
Hello. Can you still hear us?
Okay, so it's easy. Basically, the relic gives +2 damage against Titanic unit to every one of your weapon, even the close combat weapon. So basically, your Gatling gun turns into, instead of 2 damage apiece, 4 damage apiece, and then the battle cannon D3 +2 and so on. So even the heavy stubber deals 3 damage. So that's pretty funny when you see someone fails 2 heavy stubber saves and then takes 6 wounds. You're like, thank you.
So I guess once the Castellan was nerfed, everyone was kind of really tuned into this sort of triple Crusader build, and I assume you're running Emperor's Wrath. So how do you feel about it? Do you think this is something that can go the distance at a tournament like this?
Probably not, sadly. Knights are fun, but there's too many counter to knight. Like if you just count up orcs with souped-up shock attack gun, you count Genestealer Cult, Tau with triptides and broadsides, and there's so many little things like that just you just can't do it. So unless you're really lucky on a big event like that, chances are very small. If I'm lucky on my pairings, maybe. If I'm not hoping to get 6-0 here. If I'm getting 4-2, I'm gonna be more than happy.
Well, I'm hoping you go 6-0.
I'd love to. I'd love to.
Naturally, kids at home are happy to see this result. It was a big win too, so he's gonna be paired pretty high. I'm just gonna say, how about that paint job on that army though?
Well, I'm going to be honest. I'm not the one who painted it, so.
Not yours.
Oh, well, his is fantastic. Because conversions on everything, very nice. Well, freehand like everywhere. So just like.
All right, so that's enough hobby talk. We've got some hard tabletop action coming along. And as they say in England, we got two Ard boys waiting for you over in the booth.
Wow. And the only way you get Ard is if you see, something that makes you feel an emotion. And that's what Val Heffelfinger does for me. He makes me feel a deep emotion in my loins.
Oh, he does. I'm an emotionless arsehole, so I really be able to understand. I don't compute.
So welcome back to the Capital City Bloodbath. That's correct. It's Canada's best and biggest 40k event.
100%. This is the crown jewel of the North.
ITC, 40k event, 6 missions. We're in 6 rounds, and we're in round 2. We've got Gene Stealer Cults versus a mainly Nurgle Chaos Force.
Yes.
And we're into...
It's an entirely Nurgle Chaos Force, mainly Death Guard.
Yeah, okay, well, I'm very sorry.
It's okay. I just like to be specific.
No,
I hope
you're right. No, you like getting the information right, which is why the Falcon, who's right here with me, and I'm Rob from the Honest Wargamer, of the 40k stats, not only show, but also, centre.
Stat center, but
Stat
that's
center.
okay. I'm not very specific.
Is it
about
also?
myself.
Is it a physical place to the center?
The center? Well, if you count my basement bedroom, then yes, 100%. It is a physical place.
So join us as we talk through this game. We're now into the 3rd turn for Nurgle. Or we're in
round
the second.
2. This is
no,
the bottom of 2 right now.
Thank you so much.
We're just finishing up the bottom of 2. We're in a very important close combat. So in case you guys missed it, turn 1, turn 2, the Gene Stealer Cults managed to pull off some crazy shenanigans. They had through a few CP managed to get a unit of. I'm saying so much today. A lot of hybrids came in this way. They spent 12 CP.
You're doing great.
12 CP to get a unit to come in this way. They also dropped two aberrant units here that came in and hit the Plague Bearers. And what Jeff was really trying to do was block out the entire table. His goal was to get it so that the Nurgle player would only be able to have about this much space, and in fact he got it to this much space for his Blightlord Terminators to drop in. However, he got a little too greedy when he made his charge on the Plague Bearers, thinking he might be able to wipe out a large portion of them, and he sent all of his aberrants that had originally been chained to block off this area into the combat.
And he did take out centered around here. There was a Demon Prince, so it was a good trade.
Yes.
But that was a different unit that did that job.
Yes.
Big 12-inch charge from here, taking them all the way through. So he took advantage of that. But like you said, he did that, committed there. Obviously, he's got to get that Plague Bearer block gone. But with all of the CP that got used as well, so that Plague Bearer block ended up getting an extra 1 to its invulnerable save.
Yes.
An extra. It was -2 to hit.
Yes.
So it was already tough. And then the thing that he didn't do was, as you said,
block off that small area.
Yeah.
So Owen here with his mostly Death Guard was able to fit all of his Blight Lords in this small little arc here. And
weirdly, though, you still would never be able to fit Primaris in the same space.
No.
Even if they were the same size.
Exactly.
It would be odd, but that would be...
just a weird situation. But because of that, he was then able to make a 9-inch charge into this unit of Aberrants, and they're going through the combat right now. Jeff has spent a CP so that his Aberrants do fight on death. So every Aberrant that gets killed does swing back 3 or 4 times into the Blight Lords. Fortunately for Owen, Blight Lords are tough as nails. We're finishing it off right now to see exactly who's going to lose. I believe that combat's actually done. So
it's an important combat. Like we zoomed in, and we can zoom in again on that particular combat. But effectively, I think the game swings quite heavily there. If either of the players did really well or really badly, as it is, I think that it kind of ended up not in a stalemate, because I don't think either unit wiped the other out.
No,
but it was they both did okay.
So from what I understand from our beautiful table boss,
Max Dubois of the Dubois dynasty.
Yes, of the Dubois dynasty. So Owen was able to kill 5 of the Aberrants in this unit with the Blightlord Terminators. The Aberrants on death killed 2 of the Blightlord Terminators.
Okay, that's not bad.
Not bad.
The on death rule. So I kill an Aberrant, he fights back afterwards.
They fight, as soon as it dies, it gets to fight whether or not it's already fought this round.
Wow.
So it's very strong. It does cost CP. It's not something he gets to do for free as part of that Vigilus Anointed Throng detachment, but it does help him do some work. Still, it's really good for the Blight Lords to have taken out 5. From what I gather, they've also been able to pick off 4 of the aberrants in the unit that's just off screen up here.
There you go.
So it's going to get interesting, because the thing that Gene Stealer Cults does not like is to be ground out. They want to hit you super hard over and over again and hope that there's nothing left in front of them.
And then, I mean, Gene Stealer Cults are going to get the next turn, and the combat that I think is going to be quite interesting. So I'm going to try and go find this unit over here. We have a unit of Roxor. There we go. So this unit of Roxor that are here. Is that right? Or are they not there anymore?
I believe this last turn, between the Mephitic Blight Haulers and a few Plague Bearers that were able to tag them on this side, they did manage to kill several of this Roxor unit.
Wow. Okay. So I wondered if the actual Roxor models ended up here, or they're the ones that are located here. I'm very interested by that.
My guess is he would not have pulled them if they were Roxors, right?
Yeah.
Because he gets to pick what's get pulled. So hopefully he was thinking in the other way, but we'll see.
Yeah, I think, and that's the unit that still can do work in the next turn. So when you do see that happen,
yes,
it's going to do some work, I reckon.
Yep. If it can get into something good, they're gonna cause some damage.
But Jeff doesn't have many cards left to play. He
He does have one big card.
He's got one big card.
Yes.
And they're all carrying handguns. It's
sorry, 2 then. I forgot. Yes. He's got Hand Flamer Acolytes that he has yet to drop, and he's got one more 10-man squad of Aberrants.
Yes, and that can do some more work. And this one block of Aberrants has managed to fight an entire unit of Death Shroud Terminators.
Yes.
So they're no slouches on the battlefield.
No, for sure. They can definitely handle themselves. So him getting that next one, that is going to be very important. We're just hearing now that Jeff is trying to get his characters that are all gathered here into the fight as well. So they're going to come in. His plan right now is when it comes to his turn, he's going to try and hit them, come in this way, and get everything he can onto those Blight Lords, as long as his Aberrants stay alive.
So just do all of the damage into those.
And because he knows that's the stopping point right now. Those Blight Lords are basically all of Owen's damage output, so he needs them dead.
And I mean, there's still the. Do you not rate the Blight Hall Terminators for not the Blight Hall? Sorry, the Mephitic Blight Haulers for output as well, or
the thing about this list is that there's not like the Blight Haulers have missile launchers and multi-meltas essentially, right? So they're very good at single target destruction. I mean, they can turn the missile launcher into D6 strength 4 shots. So
I think that's why Owen, when he saw Jeff's list. As they started deploying, I was sat at the tabletop as they were talking to each other. He was like, it's going to be a very interesting game because you don't have any vehicles. And so one of the things that we can touch on a little bit is obviously, and as you know, there's a huge proportion of knights and knight armies here at CCB, and generally in the 40k competitive scene anyway.
Yes.
And we talked about this quite a bit off air yesterday. And one of the things that you're going to have to do is you're going to have to spec to take out knights and play through knight armies. Now, you don't think the knight armies specifically are the winning armies, they're the gatekeepers. But you definitely can see in Owen's list there's the multi-melters and the Terminators and all the things that potentially are going to go into knights and do the work.
Yes.
And then the counter to that is Jeff has got the same tools, but he doesn't...
he doesn't have the thing... And that's, yes, I see what you're getting at, and it is very, very big for Gene Stealer Cults that they can do that. They're one of the few armies that doesn't have, in this current meta, any vehicles. And a lot of people are playing to that vehicle meta, not just because of knights, but because when the Knight Castellan was essentially nerfed, not quite into the ground, but brought well within line.
And then people realized the Crusader was the true power.
Well, now you can run tank commanders, and you can run Caladius grav tanks and things that you never saw really before, or saw very little in competitive 40k. So having these Mephitic Blight Haulers, something you normally didn't see in Death Guard lists, became something that where it was actually going to do work. Except against the Gene Stealer Cult list that has none of that.
It just has nothing.
Yeah,
it has nothing.
All
and also, as you pointed out quite rightly earlier, can just null deploy.
Yes.
Like, it's a fascinating army. It's really, really good. And there you can see Jeff on the right, the Gene Stealer Cult player in his CanHammer T-shirt. Letting people know who he loves. And there's Owen, a great-looking man.
Oh, yeah, absolutely great.
Both players putting paid to the myth of what people think of
the standard wargamer.
Of a standard wargamer. I mean, Jeff is still rocking the almost mandatory cargo shorts.
Oh, yes.
I mean, it's also almost mandatory, unless you, of course, are tech wizard Scrivo who wears mom jeans.
Yes.
That's just a quick aside.
Scrivo the Karen. Yeah.
Let's go back. But both lovely men, and as you can see, just having a good time playing Warhammer, right?
Yeah, and you can see the look on Owen's face. He's really trying to figure out what to do next, how to get out of the situation. He did lose 15 Plague Bearers this round of combat. From what I gather, Jeff was able to deny Miasma of Pestilence, so he was only at a -1 to hit instead of -2 with his Aberrance this turn, and it let him do a little bit more work than he was in the previous round.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so, guys, I know you're watching at home, and you look. Let's all put our cards on the line. This is a grind fest. This is what's happening. The guys are being specific. We've still got key units to come down on the board, so get yourselves ready. They could, because I think the game is anyone's right now, unless you think different, Falcon.
No, I'm going to say. I would say this game's about 60-40 for the Gene Stealer cults at this point. It's not that Nurgle doesn't have a chance. They have a good chance. It's just with those Aberrants still having to come down, I'm not sure the Hand Flamer Acolytes are going to ton, but there's going to be a lot to go on. He's going to be relying a lot on these Blightlord Terminators surviving another turn. That's the key in this game.
And very, very important.
Yes.
And the Aberrants coming in to do the work that are located. We've also got, I'm pretty certain inside this building there, is this a Patriarch or?
Yes, so he has a Patriarch in that building, as well as a Clamavis and an Abominant.
And Abominant can do some work.
Abominant can do a ton of work.
Yeah, so I'm very interested in whether or not the Abominant's going to come in and start doing some smashing realistically as well.
And I believe that's his turn 4 play. I think he was waiting one more turn to bring them in to the combat.
Very interesting. And I wonder if Jeff was... I mean, this is super Gene Stealer Cult, right? Like, you and me both have said, and we're speaking for the players, so this could be wrong, that Jeff made a mistake in piled in. Maybe
this was all part of the plan.
Maybe this is all part of the plan. Like, what does he give up? He gives up this unit of Aberrants. He gets to charge and counter-charge here.
Yeah.
That's not a bad place to have them. I mean, having them at the back of the board, so this is the Blightlord Terminators I'm talking about, having screened them so that they're there, but having them at the bottom and then being able to deal with them piecemeal, and also having yourself loads of area to chart. I think I've drawn just terrible lines.
Oh, that's fine.
That's just hieroglyphics.
Yeah.
Bit of this, bit of that.
Yeah,
there we go.
Flamingo,
like some of those.
The weird egret. No, but I get what you're coming at. There's one thing we haven't mentioned, and I think it does bear mentioning with this. Well, while Jeff does have 2 units in Deep Strike, he can, if they were the ones that he spent the CP on to remove from the board after turn 1, or during just after deployment, I should say, because of the way reserve rules work, he doesn't have to bring them in turn 3. He can actually wait to turn 4, 5, 6, which until the new Space Marine book becomes official and the drop pods get to do it, Gene Stealer cults are the only army that have that option. Because
That's
it's
true.
a unit that technically started on the board and were removed, so they can come back on the board at any time.
Wow.
So that can lead to some serious situations here where now Owen has to think about his placement for the entire game. If Jeff wants him to, he can leave those Acolytes, say, that aren't going to do a whole lot turn 4 until turn 5, until turn 6.
Wow.
And then all of a sudden, Owen thinks he's in the clear. He's got maybe his Nurglings somehow survive, and he's got the 3 there, and he's like, I'm going to score my last point of Engineers. Everything's A-OK. Bam.
The points, though, they're scoring, they're not really racking up the points, ATM, as long as this score is spot on. Yeah, this is spot on, 5-1.
Pretty low scoring. I'm sure it's not 5-1. There has to be more here for
So
Nurgle,
we'll,
right?
we'll double check the overall score. They're just doing it right now because it's the end of the turn.
My guess is this should at least be a 3 because, maybe a 2 because he's at least held an objective, but we'll see. Maybe I'm wrong because I forgot. Yes, the Acolytes have been on here contesting, so it's quite possible.
It could be, but we are at the end of Owen's turn there, so the end of turn 2, so we're about to go into the beginning of turn 3 with Gene Stealer cults on the rise and going to do some work. And I think the moves that they're going to make are, we're going to see this unit in here charge into the Blight Lords, and it's whether or not we see the other unit of Aberrants potentially come in and join the fray.
Support, yes.
However, the Death Guard could potentially play a kind of like a falling back shooting strategy for a while because those units aren't overly fast. But I don't think that's what you're going to see.
No, I think what you'll see from what I understand, there's only 5 Acolytes left in this unit. So between the Blight Haulers, the Poxbringers, and everything else that were in this back corner, they were able to deal with most of that Rocksaw unit. That being said, there's this space now that Jeff can deep strike in again and make a beeline right here. because all of the plague bearers have been killed.
Yeah.
So that's an option. He can get at that plague burst crawler that way.
And he also has to start dealing for his secondaries as well. He's got to deal with.
He has to kill those.
He has to start killing the plague burst crawlers and the
Mephitic blight haulers.
And the Mephitic blight hauler as well. So, like, you know, he's kind of hampered in by his own secondary choice at this stage.
For sure, and I think that is going to be the play. Is he's in my mind? That's what I do. But of course, I'm not a professional Warhammer player. I like to talk about it. But I really I really think this is the play to come up here. It's an 8-inch charge off the that isn't impossible by any means.
So, question to the Twitch chat and everyone watching at home. In the chat, you can leave 1 or 2. I don't think it's the right decision, but I'm gonna call 2 as where the unit of aberrants are going to drop down the Gene Stealer Cult's turn. And I'm guessing, Falcon, you're picking 1.
In my mind, I go for 1.
Okay, so let us know what you guys think. I'm interested to see, mainly because I'm hoping you guys will be able to teach us the actual answer.
Yes,
kind of like, let's just hive mind this, brood mind it, some may say.
Now, I do know that Jeff did just say very openly, loudly enough that we could hear, that the Blight Lords are a big issue for me. So you may be right, Rob. That may be where he's going to swing.
So DDHG says 2. And the PBC is kind of nasty for the squishies to charge. Says Xtab. Also hi Xtab. Also hi everyone watching at home.
Yes,
Thank you for doing so. Love you guys a bunch. Warp Spider, hi. Everyone who watches the Honest Wargamer normally, big love to you. And if you're new, thanks for joining us. We really appreciate your support. And I appreciate the Falcon being here. This is great.
So, guys, it does look like Val has returned. He has brought a hero with him.
A what?
A hero. From what I understand, that looks to me, and I mean, I don't know everybody's name. I believe that's Nathan Krulicki. And if you don't know who Nathan Krulicki is, he's a man that runs 1,000,000 dreadnoughts.
1,000,000 dreadnoughts?
I believe that's all he ever runs. But we'll let Val actually cut to him and see what he has to say about it.
Just John's in the middle of a deep, long conversation.
With Max Dubois.
Yeah,
they're
Max
having
Dubois
a fight about
of
how
the
numbers
Dubois
are written.
dynasty.
Yeah.
Most people don't know that you call a trailer park a dynasty, but I do.
Who doesn't? Oh, that look.
Now let's listen to
Scribble,
Mr. Val Heffelfinger.
Cut quick.
That was the smoothest throw I've ever seen from the booth. It was brilliant. I'm surprised we were able to catch it. It was a lot of heat. It was high. It was inside. I'm, as the Falcon mentioned, hanging out here with Mr. Krulicki, Mr. Nathan Krulicki. Now, this is a gentleman. I'm going to nominate you People's Champion.
Oh, wow. Thank you.
1-1 now with Raven Guard, 9 Dreadnoughts. Now, what possessed you to run 9 Raven Guard Dreadnoughts?
I like Dreadnoughts. I've always liked Dreadnoughts. I had a big collection of Dreadnoughts, and everyone else is running Knights and Gym Vessel Demon lists, so I felt like running something a little different. And so I had them. I was just showing up, hoping to coast around the bottom to middle brackets and have some fun. So that's what I went for.
Very good. Now, how do you feel 9 Dreadnoughts are going to fare against the Gym Vessel list and a bunch of Knights?
I have 10 last cannon shots. Other than that, I mean, I haven't faced it yet, so I have no idea. Grubblies are easy to deal with. I have a lot of Gatling cannon shots, a lot of auto cannons, so general infantry isn't really a big problem. Zinch with like a 3-4 up invuln can be a bit of a tough cookie, but otherwise I just shoot and hope. Shoot and pray. Pray and spray.
Pray and spray is a great strategy for many things. Just thinking over to your list, though, what made you choose Raven Guard specifically?
I've always played Raven Guard. They're my Marine army of choice. There was no strategic choice whatsoever. It was straight up just that's the army I play, and that's what I have. So.
And you were playing Dustin Henshaw, so I believe Canada's top scorer at the ATC this year.
Was he?
Yeah, he's got a bit of pedigree.
Oh, I had no idea.
He doesn't look it, but he's
could have fooled me. Yeah,
I understand. Now he was running Gene Stealer Cults.
Yep.
What were your thoughts drawing Gene Stealer Cults? Do you think maybe I got a few moves here?
I'd never faced them in a competitive setting before. I had no idea what they could do. Turn 1 did not go well because I just got to walk 6 inches and then do nothing because he had nothing on the board. And then after that, he would have a unit pop out, which would then in turn delete a dreadnought, and then I would shoot it off the table. And then that went back and forth, but he had such better board control with all of his little infantry druids and like showing up wherever they wanted to. I couldn't keep up with that kind of board control with just dreadnoughts. So it was a great game. We did go all the way to turn 6. No one got tabled. He had easy points with engineers parked in the back corner behind line of sight. But other than that, it was good. I enjoyed it. It was good fun. Even though it's like you said, top ETC list, Gene Stealer Cult competitive, it was fine for me. Like, I enjoyed it.
That's the magic of 8th edition, I suppose.
Yeah.
So, I don't know if you've heard. Apparently, these Space Marines,
Yeah.
they're getting some hotness.
Yeah.
What are you most excited about for Raven Guard with what you've seen so far?
I'm looking forward to people not complaining about the -1 to hit so much. Because it's mostly gone. It's just on infantry now. And it makes more sense to me that I shouldn't have sneaky Land Raiders and sneaky Dreadnoughts running around. The +1 cover is nice. 2-up armor saves on a lot of Dreadnoughts is helpful. A lot of stuff ignores cover. It feels more balanced. I think there's going to be some really greasy combos that people are going to pull out from the new Codex. Like, I picked it up today and was flipping through it. There's definitely some dirty shenanigans, and I think Space Marines are going to be the new Knights. You're going to see a lot of Space Marines with Knights, I think, at future ITC events and things like that, just because they have a lot of shenanigans they can pull off. But I'm in love with the new models. I love the War Suit. I'm going to be picking one up for sure because it's basically a baby Dreadnought, pseudo-Dreadnought. So I'll add one to the collection for sure at least, and then go from there. But I've never built my collection around the idea of heavy competitive play. It just happened to work out that this is working. So,
What a better people's champion than somebody that GW based their entire marketing strategy around. I'm glad to see it's working.
I mean, yeah, take my money.
I hope you get a few more W's. We'll be checking in with you all throughout the tournament. I'm just going to do a quick update, and and that'll be that. You're welcome. Thank you.
Take care.
Okay, very quickly here. Obviously, Dustin Henshaw moving on to 2-0. Over at the Jim Vessel situation, they are in a very tight game. Jim Vessel forgot his bloodletters in reserves. Whoopsie doodle. Even the best of us, guys. I am noticing some action over here. No. Okay, why don't we wrap up with Old Hef and kick it back over to that booth.
So much, Mr. Val Heffelfinger. What a treasure, and thank you so much. Welcome back to... Thank you. Also, can I just say, welcome back to the CCB. Can I just say the event staff are fantastic and endowed with a gentle face, which I would smother.
With a pillow or with
it depends depends how angry I was feeling. I won't lie. Look, this is my name is Rob, and this is the Falcon next to me.
Caca.
And we are bringing you round 2 of the Capital Bloodbath 40k ITC tournament, Canada's largest and premier 40k event.
Caca. That's all I got left. That's all I got left. This has been an exciting round 2.
Very, very exciting. So just quickly catch up. Turns 1, not much happened. A bit of posturing between the Gene Stealer Cults and the mainly Death Guard Nurgle force. Then in turn 2, it all went down. Gene Stealer Cults deep struck. They attacked and they started taking out engineers at the back here. They took out a Demon Prince here. They assaulted the front line of Plague Bearers, everything. Then the Nurgle came back, dropped a unit of Blight Lord Terminators here, punched in, got the work. Now, previously before, and if you've been following through the whole game, this unit that deep struck at the back previously, we thought were the Rock Swords, but they were actually the Hand Flamers.
Yes, they were.
Which meant the Rock Swords are still to come down.
They just did, in fact.
And so now we're into Gene Stealer Cults turn 3, the counter-attack phase.
Yes, and
what's
this is
happened?
getting pretty scary. So what was left in Deep Strike has come down. The Sanctus, which we hadn't really been talking about, but is the Psyker Sniper Killer, has shown up. She's popped right here. Now, a big thing about the Sanctus is depending on how much CP Jeff does have left, which I believe is 3 right now, he can teleport that mother around to drop beside, for free actually, because it is the Sanctus, in front of Psychers to try and snipe them out. He has also now dropped the actual Rocksaw unit right here with a plan on coming in on this Plague Burst Crawler and the Mephitic Blight Haulers to try and get him some points. And he has dropped the final unit of Aberrants right here behind the Terminators. He's then taken his Patriarch, Primus, and Nexus, I believe, that were in here, and has pushed them forward. He almost forgot, folks. This was almost a bit of a big deal. He had moved his Brood Brothers around, and completely forgot about these characters for a second. Began to deep strike just before he placed his first model. He remembered, pulled everything back, has finished his actual movement phase, and now he's moved on to Psychic. At this point, he's going to try and finish off the Plague Bearers in the front. Hopefully he gets a good charge with the new unit of Aberrants and the unit of Acolytes.
And they are
So the new aberrants are right, I believe, if everything's backwards to me, right here. And his acolytes are in the back, which we have already kind of covered for the folks. So yeah, right here.
Okay, so did the aberrants come in where I said? Did they come in
aberrants
one?
Came in when you said, yes.
Oh,
the
I got a
Roxas
one.
came in where I said.
Oh,
so
well, that makes sense. We didn't know Roxas were available.
Yes, we were under the impression it was hand flamers only. We'd made a mistake. We're very sorry.
So this is and Jeff has pointed out he's stressed by that unit of Blightlord Terminators. So they are now mobbed, and and you pointed out already, and I don't want to blow smoke up anyone's ass, specifically Games Workshop, but they've written a great codex, and this looks exactly as you would expect.
Yes.
A bunch of hard 10,000 year angry, disease-ridden Terminators have landed, and then they've just had a bunch of punks with street signs land, surround them in a kind of coup de grace, and are they going to survive?
And that is the question. Like we've said probably 100 times now, Blightlord Terminators are possibly the hardest thing in this game to kill. So you really do need to hit them with everything to make it happen. And that's where we're at right now. If these aberrants, if they get the charge off, that's going to be huge. If they fail that charge, it becomes a bit of a swing here for Owen. He might be able to pull something off.
Okay, so that's going to be all of the combat that you've seen there. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. Oh, the charge is in already.
Oh, and it looks like, yeah, he made it. So who cares, guys? No. I mean, to be fair, with Four-Armed Emperor, with having his character buffs nearby, he's getting at least a +2 to the charge, if not +3. So really, the deep strike charge for Gene Stealer cults isn't as far from an impossibility.
And there's also, and this is, there's also a special fella on the board, a stream favorite. I've heard.
Oh, is it?
Where is he? Did he deep strike? And where did? Where
Are we
did
talking about the Sanctus?
The Sanctus.
I did bring it up when you had to quickly walk away.
Sorry, where did he end up? Because I've been excited for him.
Okay. If we want to pull everything back, I can show you.
Yeah, so we're going to get the top down again from John, so we can see where he is.
John is absolutely plastered now.
Then
I'm going to go. He's had about half a beer.
Yeah, 3/4 of a beer. Your beer's very different to ours.
Yeah, one sip and he's gone. Look at him, he's tilting back and forth.
So the Sanctus is somewhere on this board.
So the Sanctus is right here.
Okay.
That's where she deep struck. She took a couple shots, flubbed the roll. But you never know when that Sanctus is going to pop up somewhere else, take out a Poxbringer or something.
And why is the Sanctus such a big stream favorite?
Well, the thing about the Sanctus is it's hit or miss, but when it hits, man, it's exciting. When a Sanctus pops a Psyker and it perils and kills itself and possibly other things around it, it's just an awesome moment every time.
Every single time. The Roxors also have made their charge. At the back of the board, it looks like.
That's a pretty scary
So that's this unit here, and they've gone in, and they're into the Mephitic Blighthall, and that's really important because, as you can see here, Jeff is looking to get Big Game Hunter, and he needs those points to start racking up because he's ahead, absolutely, but as you've said, it's not a grinding army. It's not an army that's going to survive till the end.
No,
it's going to land and do its work.
It needs to kill as much as it can.
Yeah, it's gonna do the work. Now, I'm pretty certain we. Is there a tree anywhere? There's no tree.
No plague trees. There are plague trees in this building. I've seen a couple, but none in this list.
No, not in this particular list. So
the main reason why you don't see a lot of plague trees anymore is because they do take up a full detachment. It's kind of a sad thing about fortifications. That the main reason why you never see them anymore is a lot of times you need that third detachment to do something else. It's just a sad tale.
Okay. So as these so the charges happened here. Big Game Hunters happened. That's going to be a big deal. And more those Roxors are going to do the work, I think, and they're going to start taking those out. But it's only into the one Mephitic Blight Hauler.
Yes.
So there's still a lot of shooting, but they have to deal with is whether or not the Blightlord Terminators are going to go down here. I think is going to be the pivot point of the game. But while we're waiting for that to happen and see the conclusion, we're going to find out some hot gossip from our man in the field. Needs no introduction, but I'll give him one anyway.
Val, the slammin', jammin', mamma jamma, Heffelfinger.
Oh, hi, everybody. Welcome back to Heffelcam. We've got a few updates for you from out in the field. When I last passed by the table, looked like Mr. Jason Sparks was just mopping up against Eric Dion, who was just hiding in the back of the table. Elsewhere, Eric Scrivens with the Custodes had Deep Struck on. Somehow got behind all of the Zinch stuff and was looking to wreck some face. So I'm going to be real curious to see how that one goes. Finally, was by Pamps' table, Stephen Pamprine, the great war boss. He's looking like he's in tough against those Tau. He's killed all the drones, but a lot of the punch in his list seems to be dead at this point. So it looked like they were about turn 3. Pamprine significantly behind on secondaries as well as primary a little bit. So we'll see if he's able to pull that back. He had about 25 minutes left on his clock. And then, well, there's a reason why I interrupted this broadcast. Formerly Canada's most notable player, Dan Platt, everybody. Dan, why don't you come on? Now, Dan, you're off to a 2-0 start. This place used to be your tournament.
This was my stomping ground. This is when I first really started playing competitively. I won 2 years in a row, but it's always been a great event. This location is just fantastic, as I'm sure you can all see. But yeah, this place is great. They run a great event here for sure.
So yeah, you won the 2 years. I guess my first 2 years coming here, and I think you just took the third one off.
That was it. Yep. I ended up not being able to make it out after traveling to ETC. Right. So I ended up taking the year off from CCBB, but I'm happy to be back.
So is this your first event since you last won it?
Since I last won Capital City Bloodbath? No, I mean I went to ETC a bunch. I went to LVO.
No, I mean like the CCB.
Oh yeah, this is since then, yeah.
So in a way, you're defending your title here.
I am. I am currently 15-0 at CCBB.
I'm just gonna pause for effect. So, folks are wondering what you're running and what you've shifted to. This is kind of like maybe you're finding your what you like in 8th edition all of a sudden.
A little bit. 8th edition has been one of those editions that's changed so much, right, since it started. So now I'm running a clone of Austin Wingfield's Mortarion Run at People's Faces. The nice thing about that list is it plays itself. So I can just run on the instinct, and I don't have to actually know what I'm doing. So it's good.
You know, I'd love a list like that. Maybe I can cut and paste that. So what was your last matchup, and how did it go for you?
It was a really good matchup. I played against Knights, Triple Knight, Double Cast Crusader, and a Castigator, Double Vulture, and then a whole bunch of screeners, bunch of characters, which is can be a tough matchup, but I luckily got first turn, busted a Disco Lord down the center of the field, and got into combat with the Castigator, did like 28 wounds or something like that, so nearly killed it, which was great, but then it died immediately. We had a slugfest, absolute slugfest. Each turn went back and forth. I was losing to Disco Lords, he was losing Knights. It came down to the last turn. Mortarion lived on 1 wound and killed a Vulture, and then we just called it. So I ended up winning 34-19.
A very civilized score, if I do say so myself. Yeah. So, you know, you're on 2-0. Not a bad score, but not too high a score.
Nothing to be cocky yet. Nothing to air, you know. There's plenty of games to go.
Well, you know what happens to tall grass?
I don't. What's that mean?
Gets cut down.
Oh, tall grass.
You don't want to score too high. You don't want to soar too close to the sun.
That's true. The sun
What would you say is a matchup you don't want to see next round?
I think Eldar Flyers are going to hurt no matter what. I think anything with a big minus to hit really cuts into the Flawless Host abilities of the Disco Lord. So even Chaos would be a tough one. But really, I think anything is going to be a decent matchup, except anything that can actually kill Mortarion in 1 turn. If you can kill Mortarion in 1 turn, if he doesn't live to the end, you win.
Okay, well, luckily none of your opponents are watching the stream because they're playing in the tournament, so that's good. You're safe. Just before we sign off, kick it back to these insane people. Anything you want to plug?
Sure. I'm a full-time commission painter. You can go to bestoverallpainting.com. I've won a bunch of painting awards all over the country of Canada. I have pretty good pricing, very reliable. That's it.
I'm sold.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Dano.
Thank you.
I'm so happy to see you out again.
Good seeing you too.
I'm less happy to see these guys, and I'm sure you are too. Why don't we kick it back over to Rob and the Falcon?
Thankfully, the character from With Nail and I doesn't have to see us. He only has to hear us, which is great.
Yep, that's exactly true. And even though I do sound a little bit like a drunk chipmunk, I do my best, folks.
So welcome back. It's me and the Falcon, Rob and the Falcon, bringing you round 2 of Capital City Bloodbath. You've got Gene Stealer Cults versus a Nurgle Force, mainly with Death Guard units. And we're into round We're in round 3.
Round 3. We're
Turn
getting,
3. Right, second turn.
Yes, we're now in the bottom. I would say it's not looking good anymore for the Nurgle. Unfortunately for him, while Val was droning incessantly about who cares what, we were struck by a large number of aberrants, and a couple characters managed to get into that unit of Blightlord Terminators, and the aberrants absolutely went ham. One thing you need to know about aberrants is just their little rending claws, which, they're not stop signs, so, it's not like the pinnacle of technology. They still explode on 6s. And he rolled a lot of 6s in close combat.
He did.
A lot. So he ended up getting probably about 10 more attacks than he was planning on getting. And the poor Blightlords just couldn't soak all the damage.
Yeah, and they're gone.
They're gone.
They're
all
gone.
the Blightlords are gone. He killed, I believe, 6 Blightlords in just the one round of combat with the aberrants. So
He must feel like his luck is blighted.
No. Never again.
I just want to say thank you to Charles Black in the chat, who's donated 500 bits to the show. He's a huge supporter of the show, and we wouldn't be able to do a lot of the stuff here without him. So I just want to say a big thank you. But that's also true whether you be a teeny supporter of the show or a large supporter of the show. But either way, I want to say thank you to everyone who has helped support the show. So you guys are wonderful.
You guys are probably the best people in the world.
Yeah, thank you very much for doing that. It means we're able to bring you the best 40k coverage you've ever seen. So there's a charge of aberrants. There we go. And as you can see, I just want to say big shout out to Jeff using that tiny little 3-inch measurer and doing the good work.
Yeah, so I believe that's his... yeah, this is consolidation. So he's consolidating into another Mephitic Blighthauler. I think we're getting near some bad juju gonna happen here. We got rock saws into the back line, striking out against a Plague Burst Crawler and a Mephitic Blighthauler. These aberrants were able to get into that one. I don't know. Doesn't look good, guys. It doesn't look good.
So we'll go back to the top down. Bucket Ninja in the chat upset the crucial moment. I think I saw the whole charge, though. What more did he need? That was some in-detail charging, I thought.
Yeah.
But let us know what else you want to see. So the Mythic Blighthauler's got the charge in. I think, am I right in thinking, or Falcon, what do you think, that with the loss of the Blightlord Terminators, Owen really doesn't have the output to strike back now? Because there are 2 blocks of aberrants and GC Look Cold characters holding the center ground.
Yes.
They'll be able to progress forward, and then even his back lines are being assaulted. And if you go back and watch this game again, or look at the start, Death Guard really haven't moved from where they started.
No, they haven't been able to. It's just been a slow kind of crunch in this way from out here. You can see he's had to pull himself back, and it's not intentional. He just keeps losing models. It's the he just wasn't able to take the hit. Like we said right from the beginning, that mistake by not taking his guys off their movement trays, being a little lazy, which he couldn't have done. When he could have had a full arc like this, he ends up only arcing to here. There's now this giant space where the Gene Stealer cults can drop in, which they did. They took full advantage. Jeff played really well, very cagey. Possibly the only mistake, and I can say possibly now because he's in a pretty commanding position, was letting the Blightlords even be able to drop there. And cause him a bit of concern.
Although, as we've said, like it did turn out in his favor.
It did.
Like it did mean that he was able to engage with characters and also spare aberrant units and bring in some more aberrants and then just control the board. So being able to also, especially with melee as well, like with your projection of power in 40k being usually quite vast,
yes.
And we talked about this at the top of the game. This being a mainly movement and combat orientated game, it's been a very different game of 40k to cover and also talk about. But the combat that you have in the Gene Stealer Cults, once it's deep stroke, isn't able to really project its power particularly far.
Yes.
So having the Blightlord Terminators here, where most of his combat is and his power is, and then being able to put that in, kind of was advantageous realistically.
It really was. It was the play that Owen needed to make, but it almost didn't matter in the end. Now, to Owen's credit, if those aberrants hadn't gone off as they did, if he still had 3 or 4 left of the Blightlords, they can do a bit of a number. They can take out a number of these aberrants, soften them up. But it's a really rough game. Talking to Owen briefly there in that break, he like you had talked to him earlier. his list is not built, he feels, to really take on a good Genestealer Cult list like this.
Yeah.
I think he has a much better chance against a ton of Acolytes, but with all of these Aberrants, it's a different ballgame.
And as you'll know from the stats, like, while it's a popular army, you probably could bank on maybe avoiding it over the course of a day. So coming up against something like this, and this is and also, you know, as the days go on, the Genestealer Cult armies also have to be doing well, and they've got their own challenges to face.
Yes, there are definite matchups that are terrible for them.
So, it's a good army build that he's got. It just really shows what the Genestealer Cult army can do when it's being applied correctly.
For sure. If you look at like your standard Nurgle armies that you see with a lot more Plague Bearers, that probably has a better chance against this list. Being able to have that second squad of Plague Bearers that you can deep strike in after the first one gets weakened, so you can screen out even better. That's really huge for like a Nurgle player. And that was Owen's thing. He said that at least for this matchup, he kind of wished that he had maybe one less Plague Burst Crawler, one or two less Mephitic Blight Haulers, and that he'd taken that extra 30 of the Plague Bearers instead, just for that protection.
Just like Tom was saying in the chat there. Although he could have screened here, and
he could have done a much better screen to start the game.
He also just could have been further back.
He could have,
because he's got shooting, right? Like, and it's a bit like again comparatively, like we talked about in the game before, the midfield shooting and damage. The midfield damage and shooting that you can do in 40k. You're talking about kind of 24-inch, 36-inch range weapons. Allowing your opponent to hit, especially in combat, allowing your opponent to hit into the midfield so you can do the damage. It's called bait, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah? Create some bait. We talk about screens all the time, but screens is a very defensive term.
Yes.
Yeah, just and you chaos. You feed things to the meat grinder.
Yep.
This is what you do. Get tricksy. Jesus, the cult know all about it. Their whole army's bait.
Their whole army is bait. You're 100% correct.
Yeah.
So now we're at a point where I think it's going to go off the rails. The big thing now for this mission, we didn't really even say what the mission was earlier, much to my chagrin. This is cut to the heart. The big point is it's 3 objectives. There's one in the middle right here. There's one in your own deployment zone that you get to place wherever you like, and your opponent gets to place one as well in his own deployment zone, like we see. The bonus point is one of the easier ones to get in this game if you have a very fast army, like Genestealer Cults in fact do, where if you control the center objective, which we can see is all Genestealer Cults, and you control this objective, your opponent's objective, which at this point is mostly Genestealer Cults. There are a couple Nurglings hanging out there. You get the bonus point every round. So at this point, you're going to see Jeff probably start scoring the bonus every turn, and that's just going to get him to pull further and further away.
Right. Okay, so it looks like it's moving forward to Jeff. But as we can see on the clock, we don't have long left for the round. This might be the last round we actually get in.
It's quite possible.
It's quite possible. And I would say that's not down to either of the two players. They played particularly fast.
Yep.
Neither of them have an army that goes down quickly. There's a lot of rolling dice.
It's true.
I feel both players have played particularly well.
Yeah, no, this is definitely not a slow play game, and this can happen, right? There's just going to be games where both players, they do everything they can. You could possibly play slightly faster, sure, but this is not like an intentional, like, oh, I'm taking too long to make sure that I have a better chance, right? This has just been 2 guys playing a ton of models and playing them well, and really thinking through both of their turns to try and get the most out of it.
Oh yeah, the tagging of that very first Plague Burst Crawler there was huge.
Yes.
The ability to hear, the ability with that 12-inch charge to then go get the Demon Prince that was over there, that was really, really big. So
that was huge.
That was huge. So there's actually, the Demon Prince did nothing. It just stood there and then it got murdered. But down unsupervised, my brother from another mother all the way. Aren't you near me? Originally Australian, works for Honest Wargamer, who's a show host. He's a great dude.
Awesome.
Does a commentary. Now an Australian in Canada says, you're right, Nurgle can't defeat the technology of a stop sign.
No.
Stolen.
Neither can Space Marines.
Yeah.
No one can stop a stop sign.
No one can stop a stop sign.
You have to stop for them. That's the point. It's in the goddamn name, people. Come on.
I still really want to see the 40k artwork with a road, with stop signs, lines on the road.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Traffic wardens, like
Send it in. Send it in.
Please draw us a picture. Yeah. I really would like to see that.
Get in the comments.
Yeah.
So right now, it looks like Owen has said that the game is Jeff's, but he's not quitting because he needs to get as many points as he can to hope for because in this tournament, folks. It's very likely that there's going to be at least 1, if not 2, undefeated players with the amount of players playing 6 rounds. every point counts to get that third place, that fourth place, to get those ITC points, which are very important to some of these players.
Very, very important to these players. And I think we have a shot of the hall, so you can see what's happening in the hall right now. We'll bring you that in a moment. But yeah, it's a big event, lots of people, and some big competitors who could potentially take the event out. So there's lots to play for. This is our fun day. Tomorrow we're going to get super serious.
Super duper serious.
Oh my God, who's going to win the event? Who's going to take it out? Who's the seed? So there you go. You can see some of the whole. You can see the lovely Jeff. I enjoyed meeting him. He seems like
he's an awesome dude. I mean, he is one of the looks like a newsboy from the early days. But I mean, we can't fault people for their hat choices.
We cannot. We see someone kicking our stand and feeling very guilty about it, and I really enjoyed that we caught that on camera.
I love how scared he is of it too. He's like, oh my God. He's like, oh, they're talking about me. Look, he's got such a smile. He's so happy.
He's like, is it broken? Have I broken it?
Did I do that?
Right, let's get back to the game, John.
He's terrified, but so excited. Also a nice merch.
I can't wait to tell him that was, if you know that man, you should 100% let him know.
In the grim darkness of the far future, that can only be roundabouts. You're correct. Yeah, we only do yield signs.
What you guys are seeing on the tabletop here, obviously, is this ongoing combat. And as we pointed out, but an incredibly low-scoring game, Falcon. Like,
it seems to be that way. I'm hoping we get a little bit of an update on the current points, because I don't believe
the score
it is 7-3.
Correct. I'm pretty certain, but we're going to wait to make sure.
I believe 7-3 was after the turn 1. I think we're just waiting for an update. There's been an issue with getting the paper to Scribbo. Scribbo's running now at them. He's angry. There's fear in Max Dubois' eyes, the Hellfire King, as he likes to be called. By the way, that's his own nickname. Yeah, no one else has called him that.
Someone I think we're going to have to keep a solid eye on to make sure he's keeping track with everything he needs to do.
He just wants to chat up these players. He's just like, come on, guys. Just wants to have fun.
So we are in the combat phase for Owen with his Nurgle force, as you can see here. And engineers, he was not able to score because he did have 2 units of Nurglings, but they got wiped out by that second turn charge, which was really important. He also didn't manage to get Headhunter because all of his stuff's dead.
Yeah.
Well, not dead, but, you know.
I believe he was able to get 2 points out of Engineers this game so far, and I don't think he's going to get any more.
Okay. All right. That's all he was able to achieve. So there we go. We're getting the score updated as is. But the only things that we've got left for Owen are the Playburst Crawlers, which are important, and the Mythic Blight Haulers. And they're important because Jeff needs to score them
for Reaper.
For Big Game Hunter.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Jeff needs to score them for Big Game Hunter. Owen needs them to get his Reaper points, because at this point, if he wants to make any kind of game of this, which now we're starting to see the more updated score, he needs to now just try to kill the chaff. He needs to kill these guys up here, these guys over here. So he's going to be just launching bombs to try and get a few extra points out of his Reaper score, try and get that up to a 3 or a 4. Put him in better position for later in the tournament.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's not going to... How long's left of the round?
We've got about, I think, we got 20 minutes left in the round.
30
minutes. So we're looking at one more round, and that's probably it at this point. So we're probably going to end at the end of round 4. And then so they're going to try to play a full round here, and then if round 5, if they're going to see what's left on the board and see if they can't kind of speed through a round 5, which I mean is completely possible. You can just skip certain phases if you know you don't need them. Like Jeff does not need to move any of this stuff if he doesn't want to. It's not going to make any difference to the game, right?
Nope.
So he can easily just move to combat, skip out the other phases.
And he's got recon, I think. Although actually this part of the board, maybe he's going to start to struggle with if he loses certain models. But I'm almost certain these aberrants are going to go into this Blight Hauler here.
For sure. At this point, he's just going to try to get his Headhunter points, not his Big Game Hunter points, I should say, and just try to wipe out.
But it's been a tough fought battle to produce this result, realistically.
For sure. Like he's had to. This has not been an easy game for Jeff in any way. That one big mistake early has really been the big thing. And then after that, it's just been fighting for points for both players, really. I don't think this is going to be a very high-scoring point for game for either of them. But what happens when you play against Nurgle in particular. It's hard to kill things.
But you did say that both Jeff and Owen, it was going to be a really good game to put on the stream. And the reason for that is because it was already 2 good players with some pretty off-meta lists.
Yep.
Yeah, things you don't tend to see particularly often. And that being the case, that means that you're seeing a pretty high level of play. You're going to probably expect to see games tomorrow happen at this kind of like length of time.
For sure.
Because they're going to be very serious, very tense, and coming down to the wire and some razor measurements to make sure that they win the game accurately. So it's gonna be real close. I'm very excited about it.
And Brian, yeah, you can find the list on Best Coast Pairings using the app, or if you type in !lists, we have the list for the top for the 2 players at the stream table up there as well.
Which are hosted on 40kstats.com. So thank you very much for doing that.
Oh, thank you. No trouble at all. I'm going to have to put them up there sometime anyway. So
saves you a job.
Yeah, kind of. Depends. Hopefully one of these guys actually wins the event, so I can just keep one of them up there forever.
So, yeah, you can go check out the list there. I mean, I really like the Gene Stealer Cult list. I really like the Aberrants, and I like the Rock Swords. I actually, at the start of 8th edition, I'm gonna take you down a small journey here.
Go for it. At this point, the game's over, so talk what you like.
Well, I'll tell you, I decided to... Gene Stealer Cult was my army. 8th edition came out. I was working for Games Workshop at the time, so I bought a lot. Very excited, really into it. And then I played them, and let me tell you, they were not good. They were not good. They were not even close to good. And I poured my heart and soul in trying to make that. I'm not someone who believes in just throwing something out
for sure
straight away. So I must have played 15 to 20 games of like put on the board, take them off the board. And I'm not talking over 5 turns, I'm talking turn 1.
Yeah,
At deployment, I've lost. Yeah, like slowly working it through. So I'm really happy that, in my opinion, one of the best model ranges that Games Workshop put out have got a codex that works really well and it's got a lot of threats that makes their opponent think.
Yes, for sure. I think Gene Stealer Cults are one of, if not they're definitely in the top 3 for best codexes currently out. But you need to have a really keen mind to play through an entire game with them, and that's the big. It's such a it's got a very high skill cap.
Very high.
Really, really need to know what you're doing, because a lot of players will just slam their acolytes into your turn 1 and be like, here you go, and that just doesn't work against most armies.
And also, I mean, first turn is even more important potentially also for Gene Stealer Cults, because if your opponent's able to take up a huge volume of board space,
exactly,
your options are limited very early on,
mm-hmm.
Which is exactly what we saw Owen not do.
Exactly. He played super cagey. He made sure that he always had options to get through. It was very excellent. I think we have Mr. Val Heffelfinger coming back here in the next couple of minutes. Once he gets himself set up, he's got some updates for us.
He's going to bring us some hot goss from the room. Most of the games are finished now, so we're going to start moving into like the wrap-ups, I assume. But the man himself?
Yeah, the man himself.
The king of my heart, Mr. Val Heffelfinger.
He's more of a prince, a pop.
Sabotage from the Monsieur Max Dubois. Did not turn on my microphone. When things go wrong, guys, you want to blame others. That's the key. All right, so really quick rundown. Sparksy, Jason Sparks, in with 29-point win. He did indeed finish mopping that up. Josh Death also W'd with the 37. You might remember his performance at the LVO, in which he attempted to submarine all his way to the end by scoring as little points as possible. Of course, the winner of CCBB, due to how big it is, will be undefeated along with a bunch of other guys. So it's going to come down to battle points. You really got to put the hammer down if you want to win this tournament. So Death doing that. Over on the Jim Vessel, Kieran Gibb tables, really fascinating thing going on. Basically, Kieran's entire army is still alive. 3 fire prisms, probably 2 or 3 planes, bunch of jet bikes, all that stuff. However, Jim's sort of just clinging to a few models in the center of the table, some Nurglings hanging out in some ruins, just chilling, getting some points. I might be wrong, but I swear that it looked like Jim was 11-6 on primary, and he was only behind 1 point on secondaries, and they were somewhere around turn 4. So Jim, despite if you're looking at that game state, hanging in there. Maybe there's a reason why he's ITC number 1. Going over to our friend, Mr. Eric Scrivens. I keep calling him that. Eric Trock on BCP for some reason. So I was talking about how the Wardens all came in. Pete, they were Wardens, right? In Eric Scrivens' list? What are they now? All Aquilas. I know what those are. Okay, so he came in with a bunch of those guys and just trucked Zinch. I was saying that he gave up a 4-0 on primaries in the first turn. He brought the primary score even. They're now 11-11 and turn 3. That's amazing. Tied on secondaries. Go look at those 2 lists. The Zinch list is really cool, but it's a ton of bodies, and it's a really brilliant looking game. Ridvin's just cruising. Ridvin, also known to you guys as Scary, or sometime I like to call him Scary. Yeah, he's just cruising. That one's going to be a dub. And then this one's sad. I think you guys might know I'm a little biased towards Steven. Treat him mean, keep him keen, pamperine. And he looks like he's going down hard. Tao looked like they got him. But he's down 8-4 on secondary, down 11-7 on primary, and they were going into the shooting phase for the good, bad guys. At any rate, it looks like the booth is getting shifty, moving around, looking like they want to talk about some stuff. I guess I'll let them do it. All right, guys, we'll be with you with a wrap-up later. Over to the booth.
So well.
He's doing an excellent job.
He's
I'm
doing
super
an
proud of
excellent
him.
job. Big fan. So look, hey, welcome everyone. Welcome back. This is Rob and the Falcon, and we are bringing you the final wedge of this game between Nurgle and GC Colts. Jeff and Owen have battled it out. There've been some great competitors. It's been a solid game. Some of the key moments was a Demon Prince going down, us deciding that rock cutters were actually hand flamers, and all the other way.
Yeah. It doesn't matter. We were wrong, but we were also right in our hearts, and that's all that really matters. So the game is down to the last little bit, as you're saying here. They're just really rolling out a few combat phases. They've decided at this point, Jeff has said, basically everything on this part of the board is never going to move again, so he doesn't care about it. So really, at this point, they're just doing psychic phases and close combat in this area.
Just to see who gets the points.
Just to see who's going to get the points. So the game is essentially over.
And it's
Owen
a
won't
win.
concede because, conceding's never what you should want to do.
Ever.
But
lose gracefully.
At the same time, he does know that the game is going to Jeff. It's just a matter of if it's going to be 18-5 or 24-7 at this point. It's all they're trying to figure out is who's going to score what points by the end.
However, it is a win for the Gene Stealer Colts, which is exciting, which means they're going to go forward. And it would be really exciting if in three games a time we end up seeing Jeff come back to potentially take out the tournament, right?
It would be a beautiful thing. I'm always excited to see people that we see like early on show up again. And especially a player like Jeff, because I know Jeff's a great guy. He's put up some pretty serious results at a few events, but I don't believe he's ever won anything.
Today might be, or tomorrow might be his day.
This
weekend might be his time in the sun.
For sure.
So I'm excited about that. So make sure you join us at the start. And when the stream turns off, you'll see the updated times for when the stream will start.
Exactly. And we're going to try to start a couple minutes early for the next round, just so that we can get you guys a recap on what happened at the end of round 2. And we'll be with Val himself, and then we'll cut the break.
Exactly. So thank you for joining us. Falcon, thank you so much for doing the coverage with us.
Thank you so much for having me, as always. I love it.
Been a pleasure. Thank you to everyone on Twitch, YouTube, or Facebook if you've been on there as well. Thanks for joining us. Also to our infield reporter and also to the Scrivo. So you guys have been great. Make sure you join us for the rest of today. And if you don't, make sure you join us for the Sunday, because I want to see the conclusion. Get yourself some beers in. Get yourself your feet up.
Have a time.
Relax. Watch yourself some quality 40k coverage and have a great day.
Exactly. Have the most wonderful day.
In the whole world. We're going to have to sing you away, because as I was about to say goodbye,
Scrivo decided to stop paying attention. He's talking to Val. Val has quite the wonderful voice. It's hard. You get pulled into it.
But I want to say thank you to everyone who supports the show. You guys are wicked. Thank you for joining us. Join us again for the next game and the game after. Get excited and get hyped. We'll see you guys soon. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.